everybody. We are officially calling the City of Hialeah Council meeting of April 26th to order. Please call the roll. Yes.
Present.
Ms. Casal Munoz. Ms. Garcia Robles. Ms. Perez.
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Present.
Mr. Tundidor.
Present.
Mr. Zogby.
Present.
Mr. President, you have a full council.
Thank you. Can I ask you, Madam Clerk, to lead us in the invocation? Thank you.
Lord, we pray and ask that you assist the leaders of our city with your spirit of guidance and counsel. Please enable them to lead our city with integrity. Amen.
Everyone, please rise as Councilwoman Vivian Casals Munoz will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Everybody faces the flag, put your hand on their heart.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you. Silvana, can you read the meeting guidelines, please?
The following guidelines have been established by the City Council. All lobbyists must register with the city clerk. As a courtesy to others, please refrain from using cellular telephones or other similar electronic devices in the council chambers. A maximum of 3 speakers in favor and 3 speakers in opposition will be allowed to address the council on any one item. Each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. No signs or placards in support of or in opposition to an item or speaker shall be permitted within the council chambers. Any person, whether participating via the web platform, telephonic conferencing, or physical presence at City Hall, interested in making comments or posing questions on matter of public concern or on any item on the agenda may do so during the meeting. Members of the public may address the City Council on any item pertaining to city business during the comments and questions portions of the meeting. A member of the public is limited to 1 appearance before the City Council, and the speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. The public can view public meetings on the city's YouTube page. Members of the public may hear the meeting live through telephonic conferencing using any telephone or cellular phone service. A smart device or computer are not necessary to participate in the meeting if you join by phone. All persons participating via the web platform will be muted during the meeting until called upon to be heard. Participation through Zoom requires a computer or smart mobile device with a microphone and web camera. The participant may elect to participate in the meeting using audio only or appear through both audio and video. The video function of all participants appearing through video will be turned off until called upon to be heard.
Thank you very much. Item 6, presentations. Madam Clerk, do we have anything scheduled that is not showing up on the agenda?
No, sir.
Thank you. Number 7, comments and questions are open to anybody in the audience or anybody connected electronically. Do we have any comments, questions? Sir, come up. Yeah. The rules are 3 minutes. You can take up to 3 minutes. All I need now is your name and address for the record. Thank you, sir.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dagmar, D-A-G-M-A-R, Arencibia, A-R-E-N-C-B-I-A. You need my phone number too?
No, just your address, please.
Address.
Yeah,
Well, I got to start saying that I'm not currently a Hialeah
It's okay.
resident.
it's okay.
So
Address.
the address will be 19320 Northwest 45th Avenue.
Thank you.
That's Miami Gardens.
Thank you,
And
sir.
the zip code is 33055.
Thank you, sir. Go
Okay,
on.
the reason why I'm here today is because I commute every day to work using southbound Lejeune Road, all the way from where I can take it from Miami Gardens to Coral Gables, and every day it's been a struggle with the traffic jam that generates, especially from Hialeah Drive till the crossing of Okeechobee Road. Last week on April 21st, specifically, I experienced one of the worst, if not the worst, experiences while commuting to work. And just to give you an idea, it took me 2 hours after crossing Hialeah Drive just to reach the intersection with Okeechobee Road. I was so frustrated at some point, that was before crossing Southeast 8th Street, I believe it is, that I even looked on my phone and reached out to get some phone number. And the first number that I got a hold of was your office. And I spoke to Rachel, whom I believe works for your office, the chief of police office. And she explained to me, well, that as far as they know, or they knew at the time, there was no issue going on the road. And she asked me if I knew or if I could see anything happening on the road. I said, well, I don't see anything, any emergency or anything going on. And as I crossed Okeechobee Road, I was able to double check on that, and there was nothing happening outside of the ordinary. So she followed that up by recommending me to come over here and voice my concern to you guys, because I understand that the city of Hialeah is trying to renovate the image and try to bring some, I guess, new development to the city. And the way I see it right now, your infrastructure for traffic, especially on Lejeune, which is one of probably your major roads or arteries, is not doing a good job, especially early in the morning when people are trying to get to work.
Thank you, sir. That's Mr. Arencibia. I can appreciate your frustration. I have no idea what could have happened. That's tremendously unusual, that sort of delay, unless there's like an accident or something like that. So I'm sorry that you had that terrible experience. We don't have a lot of development. I mean, there's stuff that's proposed, because you're telling me specifically from High Drive, right, to Okeechobee.
Okeechobee.
Yeah, right. I was a police officer here 23 years, so I'm very familiar. Yeah. So, but we don't have any development. There's proposals and stuff that people want to build, but it's not, I can't think of anything that would say, oh my God, it's all the development we've allowed, because we haven't really developed that corridor that much. So I'm sorry that happened. I can't even begin to guess what happened.
The way
Any
I
of my
see it-
colleagues want to comment on anything? Go ahead, sir. I apologize.
I'm sorry to.
Yeah, no,
cut
go
you
ahead.
off. The way I see it, I see the amount of crossings that Hialeah has to, in order to cross, let's say, Okeechobee Road, or
Yeah.
even go into, is it Miami Gardens or not Miami Gardens?
Miami Springs,
Miami
yeah.
Springs.
Yeah,
Basically, what's happening is everybody's funneling into Lejeune Road,
yeah,
either from Okeechobee or all the
Yeah.
streets, and
yeah.
merging into
Okay,
Lejeune Road. So what you got on during the week,
yeah,
from commuters and also people that are doing just their daily job or driving a truck or anything, is a nightmare. From Hialeah, especially the closer you
Okay.
get to Southeast 8th Street,
yes. Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
piece from there to Okeechobee
It's a
Road,
crawl. Okay.
you're not gonna move.
Yes,
You-
sir.
You're gonna have to spend some time there.
Mayor, did you want to? Yes,
Yeah,
don't leave. No.
so I think there's a couple of things to understand. One is, you were saying this was in the morning.
Yeah, every morning there's always
So,
a delay there.
You have, anybody that lives in Hialeah would know that if you're traveling southbound in the morning, you're dealing with a lot of traffic
Mhm.
as you're going southbound. Particularly on that road, if I'm not mistaken, that's a state road, if I'm not mistaken, no, the June, yeah. One of the fundamental problems that we have, and this is global, is that the light synchronization, which the county has invested, I know very well about this, over $5 million in what would be smart technology in all our intersections, clearly has not come to Hialeah yet. Because what should happen in most cases is that the green light for southbound traffic on Lejeune, on Red Road, on others, especially southbound, should give you more time to go through, and it doesn't. And you're right, there is a bottleneck. There is no solution that we could offer other than widening the road, which would mean the state would have to buy up a lot of homes to do that, and I don't see that ever happening in the near future. But this is Dade County. If you've lived in Dade County long enough, you know very well that we're all at one point or another slave to our cars. So until this technology that supposedly the county is going to lay out to all, supposedly to be done by 2025, we're going to continue to be in this quagmire situation, quite honestly. And many of us that navigate it know, many of us probably know all the back roads to evade all this. But it's just a reality. I hear it from a lot of residents. I get it right out of my door as I get on Red Road, which is a county road. And And I deal with it as I'm going southbound, and that's without the train going by. So I hear you. I hear you, but I don't think there's any solution that anybody here is going to be able to, with a magic wand, fix it overnight. It won't be fixed overnight.
Thank you, Mr. Arencibia. Anyone from the dais want to add to it?
Mayor covered it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate your input. Thank you, sir. Any other? Sir, name and address for the record. You have up to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hello, my
Thank
name
you.
is Gustavo Rodriguez.
Yes, sir.
I live in 3800 East 4th Avenue, Hialeah, apartment 10. A este punto le voy a pedir a ustedes que me consideren poder dirigirme a ustedes en español. No sé si es lo usual, pero
I'm going
para
to,
este
voy a,
nivel,
señor Rodríguez, si nos dirige en español porque el idioma de aceptado legalmente es el inglés, voy a tener que proveerte una traducción o si quieres hacer el esfuerzo de hablarnos en inglés, porque
lo que tengo que
tú-
hablar es bien corto. Si puede ser con un traductor, va a ser bien sencillo.
Okay, who do you want to use? Silvana, can you help? Adelante, señor.
Ok. El pasado 11 de este mes tuve un accidente en la
The past
carretera
11th of this month,
y a duras penas logré sacar el carro de la autopista y entré en la 122. Explotó una de las llantas. Ustedes me preguntarán qué tiene que ver esto con la ciudad.
okay, you may ask why this has to do with the city.
Pues tiene que ver mucho. Dos
It has a lot
oficiales
to
de
do.
policía del departamento de Hialeah me asistieron sin
Two
haber
official officers
pedido y ellos,
asked
a mi
me.
entender, extralimitaron sus
One-
atenciones.
Excuse me,
momentico,
espera un
Rodríguez.
segundito,
Gracias,
por favor.
Rodríguez.
Carl, he needs to give her time to
Ya,
translate.
Rodríguez, di una
Por favor.
oración,
Thank
correcto.
you.
Usted dice para que ella tenga tiempo, usted diga una oración y entonces pausa para que ella nos los traduzca al inglés
Perfecto.
para el récord. Gracias, Rodríguez, adelante.
Thank you. Grandiosamente, la palabra se me fue en el momento. Dos oficiales de policía del departamento de Hialeah
Two
me
officers
asistieron
from the police department of the city of Hialeah,
sin haber llamado al departamento de policía, ellos pasaron y me asistieron.
without calling the city of Hialeah Police Department, they assisted me.
Y si ellos no hubieran estado, no hubieran podido resolver por las vías naturales,
If they haven't been there, I wouldn't have resolved the situation
porque el daño en la esfera, en el ring, en el aro,
because the damages on the ring of the tire.
Estos oficiales excedieron su atención pública y por cual vengo para que sean reconocidos.
These
Los
officers have
oficiales
exceeded
Francisco
their
Álvarez
public service, and I'm
Jimmy
here today
Caraballo.
to,
Y Jimmy Caraballo y Francisco Alvarez, Chief.
Son
You hear that?
personas-
there are
Yes.
Yo
people,
le tengo aquí una carta al chef.
Ok,
have
dásela
to-
ahí. Gracias, Rodríguez. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Información a ellos y tengo
I would like to provide this information to them.
Sí. Dáselo a Silvana, gracias. Ujú, ujú. Gracias. A ver, un momentico, Rodríguez, gracias.
Sí, por favor, lo que quiero es que le transmitan mi gratitud a estos oficiales,
I would like
Gracias.
to present my gratitude
a estos oficiales.
to these two officials.
Yes.
Ojalá que tengamos todos los oficiales de policía del departamento de Hialeah sean de esa magnitud.
Gracias.
El segundo punto es bien sencillo. Ustedes aquí,
The second point is very simple.
ustedes aquí hablan de grandes proyectos para la ciudad de Hialeah, la
This
ciudad que
council-
progresa con ese eslogan.
You speak of projects,
Y hay muchas personas del estrato medio hacia abajo que están pasando muchas necesidades. Eso no es un secreto para nadie.
¿me puedes repetir eso, por favor?
Y en la ciudad hay muchas personas que están pasando necesidades.
In the
que
city of
están en el
Hialeah,
estrato
there's
inferior.
many people that are going through
Aquí
tough
se
times.
tratan cosas importantes, indudablemente, que van a beneficio de esas
There are things
personas.
that are presented here that are beneficial.
Yo le llamaría la atención a todos es recorrer nuevamente a las ayudas de comidas a las familias, aunque sea una vez al mes, porque hay ciudades alrededor de Hialeah que lo están haciendo. Primero, no creo que nos debamos quedar atrás y segundo, la ciudad los necesita. El tercer punto,
the
Te
third
voy a
point.
tener que terminar rapidito, Rodríguez, gracias.
el tercer
Dale.
punto lo voy a tratar de resumir en 30 segundos. La reunión anterior del
The last
concilio,
meeting of
el
council,
señor
Monzón.
Monzón hizo una solicitud, solicitud de
Mr. Monzon
de
had
atención
presented,
pública. Para mí en ese momento eso debió seguir el curso natural pero
At this moment, go ahead.
hubo alguien que le comentó a él que eso no se podía hacer.
There
que
was
eso no
someone
estaba
that
en las
commented to
regulaciones del
him that
oficio.
wasn't allowed.
Para ser muy sencillo, el hecho de estar aquí es, yo creo que indiferentemente si la persona me cae mal o me cae bien, si es de mi gusto o no es de mi gusto, la intención es ensalzar los valores de una persona de la ciudad de Hialeah, vivo, no esperar que se muera, porque tiene mérito suficiente que todos los conocen y en el corto tiempo que tengo no les voy a robar el tiempo de repetirlos, pero sí es necesario que tengamos conciencia. Ustedes que son las nuevas autoridades de la ciudad tienen la posibilidad de tener en sus manos la gloria. Les repito, me caiga mal la persona o no me caiga mal la persona, sino los valores de un individuo que dio su vida para estar en una guerra y fue alcalde de la ciudad de Hialeah y luego su trayectoria en problemas de deporte. Gracias para ustedes por su
Gracias.
atención.
Gracias,
Y
Rodríguez.
disculpen no haberme dirigido a mí.
Muy amable, gracias. Thank you. I think we're good with that, Silvana. Thank you. Any other comments and questions from anyone? Christopher, for the record, we know who you are. Name and address for the record, sir. Thank you.
Yes,
You have
I
up
am-
to 3 minutes.
Got it. Yes, I'm going to keep it brief. I'm Christopher Monzon. I am a resident of Hialeah, Florida for most of my life, 7540 West 20th Avenue, apartment 106. And I'm just here to say that I am tremendously grateful for the job that Mayor Vogel is doing in this city. In the last 6 months, we've seen a tremendous change. I just wanted to add that comment in there. Thank you, sir, for that overhaul. We needed it. I'm also here to say that last time that I was here, I spoke on behalf of my friend and mentor, Julio Martinez, and I was unaware of an ordinance that existed, which, I should have done my due diligence and researched a little better, perhaps. However, this ordinance that exists in its language prohibits the naming of any building or any road after anybody who served in public office who is still living. However, I would like to clarify that Julio Martinez is such a colorful man with so many accolades that, of course, public service falls into his legacy. But the thing that I want to honor most about this man isn't so much the fact that he was a politician for the city of Hialeah, but if not the example that he has to present the city of Hialeah for generations to come, which is that of sacrifice and duty to our country. I think that is something that should be recognized. I believe that it is something that we should take into consideration despite of this ordinance. And I do hope that it is thought upon greatly because I think that Hialeah can learn a lot from this man. And not only this man, but all of our veterans. And I know that we are a city that loves its veterans. And I do hope that this is brought forward and considered upon and acted upon accordingly because we must honor all of our veterans upon that merit alone. So thank you very much. And God bless our great city.
Thank you, Christopher. Thank you so much. Any comments from the dais? Any other comments and questions from the audience? Sir? Good evening. When you come up here, your name and address for the record. We've met you before, and it's a pleasure to see you again. For name and address for the record, and you have up to 3 minutes, my friend. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jesus Francisco Lopez Martinez. I'm a resident of this great city of Hialeah. I live on 7171 West 3rd Court, Hialeah, Florida. That's across from McDonald's. As a matter of fact, they're building 800 units right over there on West 4th Avenue, close to 74th Street, right across from Taco Bell. Eventually, those residents that they will be coming in, they're gonna create more vehicles driving along my neighborhood. I live in Palm Spring Village. And I've been honored to know some of you council members, the mayor. Thank you, sir, for allowing me to be your friend. And thank you too. Thank you as well. But anyhow, the reason for this, November 12th, I was walking with my dog. And unfortunately, one of my neighbors, he decided to not pay attention while he was driving. And he struck my dog. My dog I had to take him to the emergency room. And eventually, they had to amputate his leg. prior on August 24th, I came in to see I had another council meeting with Carlos Hernandez. At that time, I requested to put speed hump along West Third Court, which was denied. One of the reasons he said to me, liability was one of the issues for him not to put the speed hump. So I told him, it's more important for you to save money than to prevent or save life. And it was more important for him to prevent lawsuit from somebody who might be driving over the speed hump and lose control. And unfortunately, this situation happened to my dog. Could you please give this to the mayor? Mr. Carl, please, ma'am, just give it to him. And this is what I needed, please. The big tickets for the mayor and the other one for Carl. I need the city of Hialeah Police Department, number one, to try to put more emphasis and secure my area, especially Palm Spring Village. We have 425 owners. With the movement that we had on West Third Fourth, which is run south and northbound, I see a lot of people driving over the 30-mile speed zone. My recommendation, which you see one of those pictures that I put in, is to install a three-way stop on 70th Street as well as 72nd along on West 4th Avenue. We have one on 71st Street and West Third Court, which minimize the speed limit or anybody who's driving along West Third Court, either north or south. If we improve and if we install more speed hump on 70th Street and 72nd, I can see on those pictures that I gave it to both of you. As well, also, I need the city of Hialeah to do a study to try to install a speed hump. Speed hump is important because they slow down vehicles. I know one of the concerns is, would be anybody, especially the emergency services, their vehicle, they could be damaged because the hump it could be too high. You don't need to install a high speed hump. It's always hump that's very smoothly. And with those signs, anybody who's conscious, it would be driving slowly. Now, like I said, on August 24, when I talked to
Mr. Martinez, I'm going to have to ask you to wrap it up because
Okay.
3 minutes.
Thank you so much, and
Thank you, sir.
it was nice to see you, and thank you for the opportunity. Please consider my request. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
You're recognized. Okay, I do have a question, and for, in regards to that. Lorena, I think I've approached you in the past regarding, we get calls all the time, right? That certain streets, cars are flying and, the first thing that comes to people's minds is that let's just put a speed bump, right? And I know that it's a liability, right? I mean, and we could, they could sue the city and all that. But is there an alternative to a speed bump? I mean, I've seen other places where they have like strips of maybe asphalt or something like that. The
goes
lights.
trrrr, and
Yeah,
makes like a
yeah,
noise.
yeah, exactly. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
is there any other
Does.
alternative that we can perhaps, get away with? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Jose.
But
Expected
I
answer.
think that first we have to determine whether the road
you,
is
Jose.
actually a road you control. And second
Right.
of all, I think you probably need to coordinate with our traffic department and the county because these are issues that govern the flow of traffic. I think that
Mhm.
when you're planning a road and traffic control devices, those are governmental functions of planning and then don't necessarily involve liability. The issue comes with the maintenance after the fact.
Mhm.
So it's not an issue of whether, you can put a traffic control device, a stop sign, a light, a speed bump. I think there are engineering standards for all these things that would call based on the capacity of the road, but that's as much
Right, okay,
engineering
no,
as I know.
You want
And-
to
and so
direct
to-
your question?
Yeah, yeah, and so those are two things, right? Because my first question was, is there an alternative? And then I guess the second point that she brought up is, well, we would need some sort of engineering study to determine whether or not that alternative fits, right? So just can you answer that first part though? Are there alternatives to speed bumps?
Yeah. Jose Sanchez, Director of Streets Department, 956th Street.
There's several alternatives, but the only one that's really feasible will be what we call rumble strips. Now that has a downside to it. It's a residential neighborhood. Those are not quiet. The rumble strips are the ones you see here in Miami Springs. Are just 5 or 6 strips that when you go over, it just
Slow you
draws the attention to the driver and it kind of slows them down. But the downside to it is that the residents may complain at night when they drive and they hear the noise. Speed bumps, we don't do that in public right away.
Yeah.
Has several drawbacks. Yes, it slows down traffic. They use them in private neighborhoods, but in public streets, creates several issues. Number one is slows down emergency response time. You're also deterring people that normally travel through that street to other streets. So you're in a way you're pretty much not using that road at all because some people don't like to go over speed bumps, so they use an alternative route.
Right.
So all the traffic that used to go through there now go to, let's say in this case, Red Road. So now you're adding more traffic to other roads, and that one, yes, you're just reducing the traffic, but you're creating backup somewhere else. So those are just some of the main points and why we don't do that. And the other one's a safety. At night they're not that visible. Anybody that doesn't see it they could lose control, end up in a house. So we weigh the options, and it's really not feasible to use the speed bumps in those neighborhoods. As far as traffic control devices like stop signs, we already have a stop sign midpoint between 68 and 72. Adding another stop sign that will have to go through the county, and quite frankly, I don't think it's gonna pass the study. It has to be warranted. You already have one intersection. You can have 3 intersections with stop signs continuously, and there's nothing we could do about that. That's a county function. They control all the traffic control devices within the county.
Mayor, would you like to interject? One second.
Yeah, just first of all, Frank, thank you for being here, and I'm sorry about the dog. I hope the dog's okay. And regardless, I know he lost a limb, which sucks. But I was wondering if the chief, if there are other calming methods that we could do, because I understand the issue with the speed bump, and it may create another problem. There are some issues on that road in particular. The lighting isn't all that great. A lot of folks use it to cut. If they can't make the right turn on 4th at that moment, then they use that to kind of cut through the back. I know it pretty well, and it's not very well lit. But short of enforcement, is there?
Enforcement, the county is the one that does study in regards to the signage.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a reality. They're not going to put that in the
Frank, we'll look to see what we could do. Okay, we're up against certain limitations of what we can do, but I understand. Maybe some signage, maybe something else that might alert people that there could be kids. Today it's a dog, and tomorrow could be much worse, right? So. Tiene que acercarte, Frank. You have to get to the mic. I'm sorry, council member, council president, since he's kind of addressing.
Thank you, sir.
The direct comment from me to him.
I've been in touch with the Dade County myself, and I spoke to one of the gentlemen, engineer. He came to my house. We talked about it, and he said, unfortunately, that's the city of Hialeah responsibility to do the study to recognize whether it's needed to install those speed humps. Also, there's another alternative. He was saying, well, we need to get more police present. They used to have police present, but they stopped doing it. But now with the flow of traffic movement that we have, it's getting really bad. And I've been told that you've been there in McDonald's a few times,
Me at McDonald's?
As one of the guys say, So I'm sure you know that location. But anyhow, my concern is it's not only my area. Every location that you go, I know one of the things like you were saying about the emergency unit. And at nighttime, remember, one of the things you have to remember, when you install those signs that it says it's speed hump, it has to be bright enough for anybody to see it. If somebody doesn't see it, and obviously lose control because that person is impaired to drive properly, especially on a 30-mile residential speed zone. There's no need to be driving over 30 miles. And if you send an officer and check the speed, you see how fast they're going, especially vehicles, especially guys with Mustang, stuff like this.
Right, we'll take a look at it. Allegedly, I've been to that McDonald's. I can't confirm or deny. But I will say this, looking forward, okay? We've got a big project that's coming online across the street on Lejeune, right? And I don't know what the traffic pattern is going to look like, people trying to get out of that property or perhaps trying to get in that property. So the road he's talking about may get used more by folks that are going to try to circumvent and try to make a U-turn to get into that newer property. You've got development also, I don't know what the name of it, the
Amelia?
Amelia
Mhm,
District, where
mhm.
you've got a lot of housing there also. But something that I think we're going to have to probably review in the future with all the units that are coming online and what that's going to do to traffic patterns and people trying, again, to navigate. We're talking earlier about that traffic going southbound in the mornings and how all of us that live in Hialeah know how to find the roads to get through. This is the same thing, right? And so it's just something we're going to have to take a look at. Maybe it's better lighting, better signage, some enforcement. But I think this is something that we're all going to have to pay attention to soon enough.
If I may,
Were
through the
you done?
chair.
Yeah. Were you done,
Oh.
Councilman Tundidor? Were you done, sir?
Yeah,
Go
you
ahead.
know, again, and kind of how the gentleman said, you know, this is something that happens everywhere in the city of Hialeah, and we receive plenty of calls, and it bothers me when the residents say, oh, well, police is not there. Well, I mean, police can't be everywhere at all times. And so I was asking, what's the alternative to the speed bumps? And I hope we can work on it together.
Thank you,
So,
sir.
yeah.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. You are recognized.
Mr. Sanchez, real quick, those bumps that we were discussing, the strips, do we have any installed in any residential here in Hialeah?
You have maybe one or two locations that you have that.
And have we received many calls that it's been loud with the residents? Are there complaints where they have been installed?
Not many. I mean, it's usually the houses right next to it that it tends to bother sometimes. Now, some folks have high impact windows, which they
Right,
don't hear
how-
much, but it all depends on what we have in the area.
And how does that work? If a neighborhood would like to install something like that, do they petition to have it? Do they bring it before your office to get that?
Yeah, if
going?
they're bringing it to my office, a complaint like that, and if most of the residents are okay with it, we'll move forward with it. It's something pretty much inexpensive for us.
Okay, all
Something
right,
we're
that's
gonna
good to know.
consider.
Through the chair, Monica.
Sir,
you know-
yes.
You know, when you go to Caribe?
Yeah.
Make a left in the light, I think it's before 16th Avenue, 18th Avenue.
Yes.
Just make a left and you get to see that has something like that. You can base I did ask some
Mm.
neighbors and they said, yes, it was kind of noisy, but
They appreciate it better.
they appreciate it better. So just make a right. You
Yeah.
get to see like where we live by the area.
But is that like an HOA? Because I know that area
You
back
know what,
there.
you know what I'm talking about?
Closest one we have is right here in Miami Springs. Before you get to the circle, I think they have some rumble
I'll give you
strips
the
there.
Yeah, in the Rotunda area. But here in Hialeah, I think that's an HOA.
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
I'll give
check
you exactly so you can see your.
But I think it's a good option to have. If certain residents, on a certain street want that and they petition for it, then they can come back and say, oh, take it off. It's too noisy. If that's what they want, and that's a remedy that we could offer them,
Yeah.
I think that would be the best option.
Trust me, before I ran, living on 16th Avenue by Flanagan's, I was
Yeah.
fighting it.
If I may, through myself,
Go 100 miles per hour. You know,
I've been here since 1984 in Hialeah. Some people here are natives. So I've only been here since 1984, older than some people here. A police officer for 23 years. My concern is there is not one neighborhood, one local street, I don't care where in Hialeah, that if you survey all the neighbors, they won't say that their street is not a racing strip. It's on 64th Street. I had a marked police car in my driveway. Next door was Sergeant Duke, a marked police car. A little bit further up, Mike Ramos. 2 doors from me, Rudy from the county. 4 marked police cars on 64th Street. it was the Daytona 500. We would be standing out in uniform sometimes when we get home from our shifts, just 4 cops in uniform talking our marked vehicles, and people would race by us and we'd look at them and go, are we invisible? My concern is if we start, every neighborhood has a speeding problem. If we get into this speed bumps or the those strips, those rumble strips, every neighborhood would deserve one and would have to have one. And then what people don't, that creates a different problem. Cities are planned around also their ability to move infrastructure and traffic. If you put rumble strips on every street in your city, it will slow your city down to bankruptcy. That's what it equates to money. The moment you slow traffic down, it equates to productivity, whether it be a delivery from a UPS truck, whether it be you coming or going to work. So this thing of opening up, it's just my opinion, opening up this option of, hey, if the neighbors want it, they can get rumbles. Every neighbor wants it. Every neighbor thinks they need one, and every neighborhood does need one, right? Right, Jack? You see it happening. It happens in my, and what people think, they go signs. I learned as a police officer, you could put 100 signs. They don't look at the signs. The person who's going to speed doesn't care that the local speed limit is 30 miles an hour. Yeah, main arteries in Hialeah are 40 miles. All local streets are 30 miles. Nobody cares about it. They don't look at the signs. They don't even look at the deterrents. When people tell me, oh, we want more police presence, I'm telling them, we had uniform presence in my block and they'd speed right in front of me. I wasn't pointing a radar at them, but it wouldn't deter them. This is a bigger challenge than just putting rumble strips, and the cost of that, like I say, if we start, how do we determine, well, you can have one, but this neighborhood can't have one. We're going to have to put them everywhere. And then this city is going to become, we're going to get the reputation of the slowest city in America to commute in.
Through the chair?
That's the sad reality, ma'am.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I have a question. Those speed bumps, those rumbling, there was a news report in Miami Beach that, what is it, Tree Drive?
Pine Tree?
Pine Tree
Mhm.
Drive, thank
Yeah.
you. Pine Tree
Mhm.
Drive had those rumblings
Yes, they
through.
did.
And everybody was still speeding through there. And they had to remove all of them because the neighbors were complaining
Justin
so
Bieber was going
consistent.
100 miles an hour through Pine Tree Drive.
Yeah, I remember
Remember?
you, that was a few years ago.
Yep.
Good memory. So their reasoning was that it caused a massive accident, the rumbling, and the neighbors have been complaining about the rumbling because they said at least if they speed, they don't lose control of the cars. But there was that, so I don't know if that happens often or it just depends how fast you're going, but that did cause a traffic to the point where Miami Beach removed all the rumblings from Pine Tree Drive. So that's just to keep a note. I don't know what, we want to do some investigation as to what happened with that, but that was a big article and a big accident in Miami Beach. And somebody just asked me, do you ever speed through Miami Springs? And the answer to absolutely everybody is you don't speed in Miami Springs or Medley. But I will tell you this, they don't have the amount of businesses and amount of homes that we have here. And they just stop in the 4 corners that they know that people come in and out of. So
what they have,
inside the
traffic.
neighborhoods, they're all circle, they don't have, straight shots. Everything is turning and curves, and you could find any canal through both of those cities. So that's why they don't have the same problem that we do.
True.
They have a lot, they stop absolutely every single person that goes 31 miles per hour.
Anyone else
So, that
on
was it.
this topic? Very good. Thank you. 8, announcement of amendments, corrections to the agenda. Madam Clerk?
Items 10I and PZ4 are deferred until May 10th, 2022. The following items have been added to today's agenda. Consent items H, I, J, K, L, and M, as well as item PZ8. And consent item L is amended to reflect that alcoholic beverages will be sold throughout the entire duration of the event.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I skip you on the comments and questions, Frank?
No.
No, go on.
I would like to remove item J from the consent agenda and be
Oh,
heard separately.
okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. You have the right to do that.
Jay?
Absolutely. Jay, you're gonna pull it or you want to remove it completely, sir? You want to pull it and you want to talk about it? Okay. So we're gonna put Frank on item J. Anyone else want to pull any consent items?
Through the chair.
Sir?
Yeah, item K.
K, okay. Councilman Tundidor pulls item K. Anything else, sir? Yes,
Through
sir.
the chair,
Yes, ma'am.
item M.
Madam Casals Munoz, item M. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Through the chair. Items.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it's going to be item B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I.
B, C, D. B, C,
can
D,
repeat
B.
Are those all the public works?
But
Yes,
I was pulled.
I'm sorry.
We're not doing.
Did you say F, G? Did you say G as well?
G, yeah,
Mr.
G, H,
Councilman
and
Calvo?
I.
H and I.
Was I?
I
the
was
first?
not pulled previously, right, Madam
Oh,
Clerk?
I is-
I'm sorry,
Isn't I
ma'am.
being moved to the 10th of May?
No.
Oh,
that's,
no,
10
that's in the
Item 10.
administrative.
Oh, 10 item.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So,
Anyone else want to
Billy, wanna
pull any
consider?
item?
You want to reconsider my baby?
Who's gonna have to read 'em?
Anyone else? Do I have, no one? Do I have a motion on the remainder of the consent? Motion from Councilman
anything left?
Rodriguez. Yeah, 2 items left. So I have a motion from Councilman Rodriguez. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilwoman Garcia Rovez. Please call the roll.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Rovez?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
The consent agenda has passed except items J, K, M, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I.
Okay, that's pretty much the alphabet.
Congratulations. Bye.
Item B of the consent agenda, can you please read
wanting
it
to
into the
speak?
record, Madam Clerk?
Request permission to waive competitive bidding since it is advantageous to the city and that the expenditure is to cover the cost of emergency repairs that the Department of Public Works had to undertake and that were authorized by the mayor, and issue a purchase order to Miller Pipeline LLC for 2 emergency repairs to the sewer collection system located at West 49th Street and West 10th Avenue due to damages caused by underground telecommunications companies in a total cumulative amount not to exceed $304,103.68. The funding for this expenditure is to be withdrawn from the Water and Sewer Division Fund, Repair and Maintenance Infrastructure Account Number 450-9520-535-467 after the following 2 transfers. Transfer 1 in the amount of $150,000 from the Water and Sewer Division Fund, Repair and Maintenance Infrastructure Account Number 450-9510-533-467, and transfer number 2 in the amount of $154,103.68 from the Water and Sewer Division Fund, Capital Outlay Infrastructure Account Number 450-9520-535-630.
Okay, very good. Item B, Councilman Calvo, you're recognized. Would you like to bring Mr. Vidal up or? Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am?
yeah, in a second. I just wanted to make
Okay,
a brief
go.
comment.
Yes, sir.
Listen, I want to apologize to my colleagues for pulling all of these items. I don't wish to drag this meeting on any longer than it has to, but I have concerns that I think many of you all, and I suspect you all share, as to our Public Works Department. And so I think it's just important that we ensure that all the expenses that are going through this department and come before this body fit into the framework of what you all determine needs to be done in order to improve the efficacy of the operations of the Public Works Department. So again, I apologize, but I just think it's important that we go through this. And so as far as item B, This is the $300,000 emergency repair action. My questions as regards to this item, first off, was, do we know what telecommunication company was responsible for this damage?
Would you like to direct your question to the
To the
Public Works Director?
please, or
Sir?
whoever can answer it, I guess.
Sir? Thank you, Mr. Vidal.
Armando Vidal, 3700 West Fourth Avenue, Director of Public Works. What was your question again, sir?
Yeah, do we know what telecommunication company was responsible for the damage?
Yes, sir.
And what was that?
I don't have that information with me.
Okay. Are you able to provide that information at any point?
We can provide that information to you
Do you know when you can provide that?
as soon as I get back to the office.
All right. Is this the same matter that Valenzuela is going over? I just saw that the amount was similar. I wasn't sure.
No.
No? Okay.
Venezuela was dealing with a damage done by the county contractor. This is a different matter.
Got it. My question in regards to this is, obviously in this case, we had to issue the purchase order to Miller Pipeline. The question is, how much repair is done in-house versus, outsourced to one of these companies?
This type of repairs cannot be done in-house. These type of repairs are lines that are very, very deep.
Okay.
It requires a special expertise to handle those repairs. Therefore, we need to use a contractor to do so.
Got it. Just in general, what are the kinds of repairs that our city then does take care of, our public works?
We usually do repairs, definitely on the water system and usually on the sewer system. Repairs, I would say 4 to 5 feet in depth. Anything less than that, I worry about the safety of the men. Therefore, those repairs are assigned to contractors.
Got it. In terms of our supply of equipment, what kinds of equipments do we have to deal with any repairs as they come?
What was that again?
Yeah, what equipment do we have on hand within the Public Works Department to take care of repairs currently?
We have, off the top of my head, we have Vector trucks, we have excavators, we have crew trucks, those kind of equipment.
Do we have an idea how old some of these equipments are?
The excavators need to be replaced.
How many excavators?
2.
You know when they were last purchased?
No.
And then, so obviously it was $300,000 worth of damage. I assume that we're trying to get the telecommunication company to pay for it. Pay for that damage, reimburse us at some point?
I would leave that up to the attorney.
Is your position then that, what is your position then?
You're asking me?
Yes.
My position is we need to recoup the funds as quickly as possible. You got a matrix from me at the last meeting for damages to the $1.3 million tune. And you're very much aware, sir, of what we need to do in order to recoup those funds.
And then my question was, as far as the $300,000 in damages, obviously it wasn't the city's fault, I would imagine by any means, but how is it that this damage occurred in the first place, that it was so exhaustive? Do you remember when exactly this damage first occurred?
No.
No? Was it about a year ago, 2 years ago?
No.
More recent?
No, it was more recent than that because we received a complaint from the mall that they couldn't get out, that they have problems with sewer backup.
So it was sewer backups?
That's right.
And that's when we first found out about the issue?
That's when we first find out about the damage.
Right. Do you know from that moment that we received those calls to the moment the damage first starting occurring, how much time elapsed?
No,
Do you have an estimate on as to that?
no,
So you're not aware of damages as they occurred on that specific property in terms of a time or a ballpark of time?
you need to rephrase your question.
Yeah. Exactly when, do you have any idea as to when this damage occurred?
No.
That is your testimony?
Am I under oath?
You want to be?
You can go ahead and knock yourself out.
You definitely.
Let's please, let's keep the questions relevant to the item that he is petitioning, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, again, my point on this is, was there any chance to mitigate any of the damage?
Absolutely not.
Why?
It's done by an underground company. The city issues permits.
Okay.
The city, for several years, went through the process of just issuing the permits and allowing these companies to do work. We had to go back and change the process, and now we issue permits. The street department coordinates with our office. We send inspectors out before the work takes place. We ensure that these companies know the depth of this line. And sometimes these companies, when they do the boring, they have a difficult time controlling the bit.
Right.
And that's what happens when it hits the line.
Right. Do we know specifically what permit was issued in this particular case?
It's in your matrix. I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, yeah, because, just in my backyard, to use it as an example, you see the, call to dig and all that. So I just want to make sure that moving forward, something like this, to this degree at least, doesn't happen. Again, I mean, we're talking about.
We do, when we get called in, we have 2 locators on staff that go in and mark the location of these lines. And these companies do have information as to the depth of the line. So if they lose control of the bit, they hit the line.
Are we, as a public works department, doing anything differently to try to prevent this in the future?
Yes, we are.
What is that?
We're doing inspections after the fact. Sometimes we don't close out the permits until we're able to TV the lines.
Got it. Are those inspections by camera, or how does that work?
If you're going to TV the lines, it would be by camera, yes.
Okay. Nothing further on this one. Thank you.
You sure?
You want,
Yeah, I'm sure.
do you want a motion?
Okay. I can motion it, that's fine.
We have a motion from Councilman Calvo for item B of the consent
Second.
agenda. Second from Councilwoman Casals Munoz. Please call the roll.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez? Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please read item C into the record.
Request permission to utilize City of Boynton Beach bid number 084141221 MFD, annual supply of pipe fittings and accessories effective through October 4th, 2022, and increase purchase order number 2022-951 issued to Florida Line Incorporated, supplier which the city's Department of Public Works is presently purchasing from, for the purchase of pipes and accessories by an additional amount of $100,000 for a new total cumulative amount not to exceed $300,000. The funding for this expenditure is to be withdrawn from the Water and Sewers Division Fund, Inventory Pipes, Valves, and Fittings, account number 450-000-141-001.
Thank you. Councilman Calvo, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you. So I saw that we had approved the original purchase order on November 9th of 2021, so a couple months ago. Is that accurate?
What was that?
we approved the original purchase order on November 9th of 2021.
I have November 17th, 2021.
Issued on November 17th.
Issued, right, correct.
Okay, and so that was for the 200,000. So obviously here today, we're trying to increase it up to 300.
That is correct.
What's the reason for the increase?
Expenditure for, that we encountered and experienced last year, which was about $272,000. So we're trying to stay ahead of the game.
Right.
And make sure that we have sufficient funds. So in case the inventory runs low, we don't have to run back to you and do an emergency purchase.
Yeah.
We would have sufficient money approved in order for us to have the inventory on hand.
I appreciate that. So these fittings, what are they used for, just generally speaking?
What are they used for?
Well, obviously the water department, but I'm
Really?
saying, is it for repair? Is it for replacement? Is it for new constructions? Is it a mix?
It would be a mix,
A mix? Do you know more or less? No idea?
but it would be a mix.
Okay. All right. I'm done with that one. Motion.
Motion from Councilman Calvo, second from Councilwoman Casals Munoz. Please call the roll.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez? Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zagbi?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
No.
Ms. Casal Munoz? Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you please read item D from the consent agenda into the record?
Request permission to utilize Collier County Solicitation Number 17-7176 Underground Utility Parts Supplier, effective through April 1st, 2024, and issue a purchase order to Ferguson Enterprises LLC for the purchase of inventory parts and materials in a total cumulative amount not to exceed $100,000. The funding for this expenditure is to be withdrawn from the Water and Sewers Division Fund, Inventory, Pipes, Valves, and Fittings, account number 450-000-141-001.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilman Calvo, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you. So I saw for this one that we're doing a piggyback on, I believe it's Collier County and Ferguson to issue the purchase order. Is there any reason that we didn't just do our own competitive bidding process?
Under the new procedures that we have in place, it's easier for us to just piggyback existing contracts that were competitive done by other government agencies.
Are we able to save any money by doing that?
Are we able to save any money?
Yes.
You probably might at the end. I don't know in this particular contract.
Right.
But they were done on a competitive basis. So under state law, it allows to piggyback the contract and use those funds, those prices.
So from my understanding, is this then mainly to speed up the process?
That's correct.
Of acquisition?
That is correct.
Got it. Motion.
Motion from Councilman Calvo, second from Councilwoman Casals Munoz. Call the roll.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez? Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zagbi?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz? Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please read consent agenda item E into the record.
Request permission to increase purchase order number 2022-97, issued on November 9th, 2021, to Core and Main LP, sole source vendor of census water meters, for the purchase of 300 5/8 of an inch census water meters by an additional amount of $27,000 for a new total cumulative expense amount not to exceed $164,000. The funding for this expenditure is to be withdrawn from the Water and Sewers Division Fund, Inventory, Meters, and Meter Boxes, account number 450-000-141-004.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilman Calvo, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you. So these water meters, from my understanding, are these being used mainly for new construction, or is this for replacement of existing water meters?
It could be both.
Is there a split difference? Is it 50/50, 80/20?
No, because it all depends on when new construction demands for the meters to be installed.
Right.
That's on a first come, first served basis.
It's on a
basically.
first come, first.
Yeah.
How much stock do we try to have of meters at any given point?
I think 1,000. I
Okay.
think was the last time we discussed meters. But my staff is becoming concerned that because of the supply chain issues, it's becoming harder for us to secure meters.
Right.
So we just want to stay ahead of the game.
On any given, let's say, month or year, whatever you're aware of the data, do you know how many meters are replaced instead of used for new constructions?
No, it depends on the developer. Sometimes they may call for 30 meters, other times they may call for 10. It depends on the day, on the developer, and what activities they're doing.
Right. No, I'm referencing to the ones that are replaced. So they're already existing, and for whatever reason, they have to be taken out and put the new one. Do you know?
No, not off the top of my head.
Okay. Would you say it's a high demand, low demand?
No.
And these water meters are obviously the basic, the analog water meters that we have presumably in my home or anybody else's home?
I think you're aware of that, yes.
Okay. Got it. Motion.
A motion from Councilman Calvo, second from Councilwoman Casals Munoz. Please call the roll.
Mr. Rodriguez is away from the dais. Mr. Tumnidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz? Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you please read consent item F into the record?
Request permission to utilize St. Johns County Master Contract 18-MCC STA 08937 SCADA System Services effective through January 16, 2024, and issue a purchase order to Star Controls Incorporated for a RTU and SCADA software optimization for the improvement of communications between pump stations and base in a total cumulative amount not to exceed $42,960. The funding for this expenditure is to be withdrawn from the Water and Sewers Division Fund Capital Outlay Infrastructure Account Number 450-9520-535-630.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilman Calvo, you're recognized.
Thank you. Director, can you please walk me through, I guess at a 30,000 foot level, how this SCADA software works?
I'm not a SCADA expert.
Okay, do you have a general understanding? I know
I think
you-
I do.
Okay.
The computer system basically allows the station to talk to the base station and tells the station the operating characteristics at that moment of that pump station.
Right. Would an upgrade in the software enable us to be a little bit more preventive with the issues that we're having in terms of some of these pump stations?
No, this is independent of, if you're referring to moratorium kind of issues. This
Right.
is independent of that. What this would allow you to do, particularly now before the rainy season, is to have better access from a base station of the operating characteristics of a station instead of sending crews all the way around to visit stations to see what's going on during the rainy season. Ever since the city upgraded to the 800 megahertz radio system, these stations have been having problems talking to the base station. So hopefully with this update and this upgrade of the software, we will resolve those issues.
Got it. So basically from the Department of Public Works, you'll be able to monitor the stations in real time?
We do monitor.
Okay. And this will just,
Yeah, and then the base station talks to, there's a phone, I believe it is, that talks to the emergency crew, the on-site crew,
Okay.
telling them that something's going on with the station, a high alarm, a high water alarm. So they go ahead and visit the stations.
excellent. Motion.
Motion from Councilman Calvo, second from Councilwoman Casals Munoz. Please call the roll.
Mr. Tumnidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz? Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Do you need to, Madam Clerk, to get Mr. Rodriguez's vote on E?
Yes, sir. Your vote, Mr. Rodriguez, your vote on consent item E, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you read consent item G into the record?
Request to utilize City of Miami contract number 18-2237 effective through September 3rd, 2022, and issue 3 purchase orders to Milian Swain and Associates for civil engineering services for miscellaneous projects and services related to engineering and administrative support to the Department of Public Works in the areas of water and sewers, as well as solid waste as follows. Purchase order number 1 in the amount of $37,500 for water. Purchase order number 2 in the amount of $37,500 for sewers. Purchase order number 3 in the amount of $75,000 for solid waste, in a total community expense amount not to exceed $150,000. The funding for this expenditure is to be withdrawn as follows: $37,500 from the Water and Sewers Division Fund, Professional Services Account Number 450-9510-533-310, $37,500 from the Water and Sewers Division Fund, Professional Services Account Number 450-9520-535-310, $75,000 from the Solid Waste Division Fund, Professional Services Account Number 401-3240-534-310.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilman Caldwell, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you. I'm probably butchering the name, but Milian Swain is obviously, I've seen the reports a lot come before us. Are they, I mean, I guess my question is, how many companies are there out there that we could contract for these kinds of services in Miami-Dade County?
I do financial analysis for utilities. I'm only aware at this point in time of 2.
Okay.
MSA, there could be more. I mean, that doesn't mean I know the entire population. MSA was the financial advisors for Miami-Dade Water and Sewer for several years.
Okay.
Miami-Dade Water and Sewer now has another company. I don't remember the name.
Got it. That other company we obviously haven't used recently or ever?
No, they've been doing that for a while.
No, I'm saying we haven't used them.
No, we haven't used
Got it. Okay. Is all of our engineering sort of, I guess this field, all of this is outsourced? None of it is done in-house?
What was that?
All these services relating to engineering and administrative support, they're all sort of contracted out. None of it is done in-house?
No, we do engineering in-house.
So what projects, I guess, are distributed versus in-house versus outsourced?
Milian Swain does a couple of things for us. They give us some outsourced staff, a professional engineer, an environmental technician, and an inspector, but that's on another purchase order that we have with Milian Swain. Under this activity, Milian Swain gives us utility financial services, including help us with the budget, the rate studies, the franchise fee study that you have received,
Right.
and those kind of issues.
Have we looked into the feasibility of trying to take all of this work on ourselves at some point?
You will need to hire people with that kind of expertise.
Right. And so again, in terms of the economics of it, is this cheaper for us in the long term, or would it be cheaper to have someone in-house that would do this kind of work?
Off the top of my head, it will be probably, given the benefits and the burden that you have and that we had at one point in time when we had a full pension, it would be more cheaper for us to go outside.
Got it. Motion.
Motion from Councilman Caldwell, second from Councilwoman Casals Munoz. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
No.
Ms. Casal Munoz, Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please read consent item H into the record.
Request permission to issue 2 purchase orders to the Florida Department of Transportation, FDOT, for utilities adjustment at State Road 953 Lejeune Road from north of Northwest 79th Street to south of Northwest 103rd Street pursuant to a joint participation agreement with purchase order number 1 for water in the amount of $14,300 and purchase order number 2 in the amount of $25,025 in a total cumulative expense amount not to exceed $39,325.
This one wasn't so bad, right? Okay. Thank you. Councilman Calvo, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you. So we just got this item as an add-on. Quite frankly, haven't had the time to review it thoroughly. Can you give me an understanding of what's going on in this one?
You know what a JPA is?
No.
Sometimes our utilities lie either within state road and or county roads. In this case, we have utilities on state road, which is Lejeune Road. So you enter into a joint participation agreement with the state in order, because the state is planning to do resurfacing, milling and resurfacing, or they're trying to do some kind of roadway improvements on the facility, and it requires for the utilities to be adjusted. And the JPA, the Joint Participation Agreement, allows the FDOT to use their own contractor under agreement with the city to make the adjustments, because you never want two contractors working in the same area.
So, okay, I understand that, but out of curiosity, whenever these improvements are done, in this case or generally, that we are sort of redoing a roadway, is it cost advantageous to us at that point to go in and replace, if necessary, the piping there, the water supply? I mean, I think the sewer we're covering it with lining, considering more the supply lines.
It depends what they're doing. If they're just doing milling and resurfacing, all they're asking you to do, which is the case here,
right?
All they're asking you to do is to adjust manholes and or valve boxes for water.
Got it. Yeah, I've noticed when they do some of these resurfacing, we get those manholes that are like a little bit too tall for the road, and that causes some issues. Is there anything that we're doing in that regard, in that space?
In this case, their contractor will bring the manhole top level to the surface of the road.
Have we experienced any issues with not having the correct manhole with the new street that's being laid?
What a manhole is? Yes. Can you tell me what it is if you don't mind?
I think I'll ask the questions you would
No,
allow
it
me.
doesn't matter. I can ask the question.
So my question was, have we had any issues in the past, and if we're doing anything to rectify those issues in terms of manholes and resurfaced streets?
That's two questions. Can you split it up?
Sure. So manholes that were being replaced in the past on resurfaced streets, have we had any issues with not having the proper manhole for the street new height?
The proper manhole ring, is that what you're talking about?
The proper
Because a
manhole.
manhole, allow me to respond. Thank you. A manhole is basically a structure. No, it's not basically, it's a structure, a very large structure that goes underground. And there is an upper part of the structure, and then there is a ring that holds the top. So whomever is giving you this information, they should go ahead and brief you fully so you understand what we're talking about. So in essence, when they do the resurfacing, they need to adjust the ring that holds the top of the manhole, the lid of the manhole.
Right.
And that's the adjustment they're making in order to bring it up to the surface level.
Got it. So in terms of those rings, my question was, in this project, in future projects, what are we doing to make sure that we have smooth roads?
In this project, I'm not sure if they're providing the rings or we provide the rings. There have been instances where we provide like meter boxes and rings to a
Right.
contractor that's doing the adjustment on the road. I'm not sure under the FDOT, usually they provide their own, and they make their own adjustment.
So in this case, it would be the FDOT doing that.
The FDOT is doing the work, yeah.
Got it.
That's why it's a JPA.
Okay, thank you. Motion.
Motion from Councilman Calvo, second from Councilwoman Casals Munoz. Please call the roll.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz, Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Perez, Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please read consent item I into the record.
Request permission to increase purchase order number 2022-952 issued to RNC Management Incorporated, vendor currently providing printing services to the Department of Public Works, as approved by the City Council on November 9th, 2021, to cover additional printing expenses, including the water quality report for this year, by an additional amount of $25,000 for a new total cumulative amount not to exceed $125,000.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilman Calvo, you're recognized for item I.
Thank you. Again, this was another add-on, so apologies. I haven't been able to read all of it, but I understand that we have some sort of printing expenses here to the tune of about $25,000. What was this for?
Two things. You should recall that during the, I believe it was the first workshop,
Okay.
we talked about changing the bills.
Yes.
So we're going through that process,
Okay.
printing new forms for the bills,
Got it.
which is something that you espouse and you,
Yes.
request. And the second expense is the printing and stuffing of the water quality report and the envelopes for the water quality report. And that's something we must do in accordance with state and federal rules.
So the new water bills, when are those going to be received by the customers?
I think the last time we discussed it, we said June.
June?
I think that's
Okay.
what we said.
Got it. Yeah, just I'll keep an eye out. But we're not, I mean, in terms of, we're going to use all the supply we have before the transition, right? And we're not throwing anything away?
I can't say that. We're trying to use as much as we can, yes.
Right. Yeah. So the addition is not necessarily related. Is it related to that? I'm just confused.
No, the addition, there is, out of the 25, there is $12,204 for the printing of the water quality report, the printing of the envelopes, and the stuffing of the material.
Okay. And then the other
The
12,000
other will be for the paper.
for the new paper?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot. Okay. Motion.
Motion from
If I may-
Councilman
if I may-
Calvo. Yes, ma'am,
I'm
you're
sorry.
recognized.
So,
Mhm.
Mr. Vidal, are we saving by this new kind of printing service that we're offering? Or is this now we're going to incur more of a cost? I know that we've included the report in there, but aside from the report, from the bill? Just to,
No, it's just a matter of,
Understand.
remember, we're changing the format.
right,
So it's a matter of just getting the new, the first batch of new paper in to the office so we can be ready for the June bills.
okay. But it's not going to change our expenditure moving forward once we get into the rhythm of the
Right,
new bill, right?
exactly,
Okay, all right, yeah, just that, I just wanted clarity. All right, motion?
Thank you, ma'am. I think we had a second from Ms. Casal Munoz.
Oh, I
Okay, so let's call the, thank you anyway. Let's call the roll.
Ms. Casal Munoz, Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vidal. Madam Clerk, please read item J into the record.
Proposed resolution in support of the mayor's acknowledgement of the National Day of Prayer during the first Thursday in the month of May of each calendar year, and as Hialeah's Day of Prayer, on which the people of Hialeah may turn to prayer, mediation, reflection, or otherwise give thanks in accordance with their own faiths and consciences, should they choose to do so, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. De La Paz, name and address for the record, and
Frank
you
De La
are
Paz,
recognized.
9361 Burr Road. Taking into consideration the times that we're living in and seeing this coming from the mayor's office and knowing that he doesn't like to his own horn. I believe this is something that should be discussed loudly and for everybody to support it and everybody to be made aware of it, not let it hiding inside of a consent agenda. So I hope that you all attend and support this initiative.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Do you, is that a motion from you?
You can
Can
consider-
I can't accept a motion from him, right? Thank you, sir. Thank you. Did I get a motion from Ms. Casal Munoz? Motion from Ms. Casal Munoz? Second from Council Vice President Perez. Call the roll.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz, Ms. Garcia Robles,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Through the chair.
Yes, ma'am, you're recognized.
Frank, will you be there? Okay, because we do this every year also, so I'm very happy that we have this on the consent agenda. Thank you for pulling the item.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you read item K of the consent agenda into the record?
Proposed resolution approving the terms of a memorandum of understanding between the City of Hialeah, Miami-Dade County, and the Town of Miami Lakes, herein referred to as the parties, in substantial conformity with the proposed MOU attached as Exhibit A, to settle the dispute between the parties concerning the opening of two east-west bridges located at Northwest 170th Street and Northwest 154th Street, resolving the lawsuit between the parties in the Circuit Court of Miami-Dade County, Florida, under case number 2019-29261, authorizing the mayor to negotiate any additional concessions consistent with the spirit of the proposed MOU to achieve a settlement and to take any required action in furtherance of this resolution, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk as attesting witness on behalf of the city to execute the MOU upon agreement between the parties and all other necessary documents to achieve finality of this dispute between the parties and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilman Tundia, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mayor, this is something that you've been working on for a long time, and I'm glad we have it before the council. I just have a couple of points, and either you or Lorena to address on section 5 regarding the opening of 170th. I just want to be clear. We state that no semi trucks can go over 170th. Is that number one? I guess how do we control that? And number two, is that something that the county needs to sign off on as well?
So I must say that we're still in negotiations. Excuse me, we're still in negotiations over a settlement. What you see is what we believe is version of a settlement or an agreement that we can have the town buy into and the county buy into based on prior discussions about what may be, concessions and settlement by all parties. There has been agreement reached with respect to limiting the type of traffic that may travel eastbound on the bridge. And Miami Lakes had a special session on April 6th. They forwarded the agreement that they would sign on to. And their proposal basically says that no trucks, I think they intend to mean trucks intended or designed to carry property, not buses, not fire trucks. And so of a specific gross vehicle weight rating. We think that what their proposal is a little too restrictive. It would probably include your UPS, Amazon trucks. And so what we tried to do was convey through this proposal the types of trucks that we understand and we would agree to restrict travel eastbound on the bridge. And so what you're seeing is trucks of 5 axles or more. You're looking at trailers of semis connected, semi trucks, those 18-wheelers in your mind, if you can picture an 18-wheeler. And so we believe that this concept is something that we can sign on to. Well, we're requesting your favorable approval. And we believe that based on the discussions had at the town at their special session and conversations that the mayor has had with county attorneys and county manager, that this is a concept that would be agreeable to all. We're hopeful that that is the case.
Yeah, no, and I agree with it 100%. I just want to, because that area, right, it's industrial. We have a lot of trucks there. We've had a lot of complaints of trucks acting crazy sometimes and doing what they're not supposed to. So just how do we control that? And if a semi does go over the bridge, I mean, do we get penalized?
It's not our obligation, sir. Under our proposal, it certainly is not our obligation
Got it.
to control traffic.
Appreciate that.
I understand that the town may wish to coordinate with the county to post the adequate signs and seek to have its own police force enforce that, but it's not an obligation on us. We're just agreeing that we would restrict this type of traffic.
Understood. Thank you. So in section 6, I just want to, I know we're not calling it a linear park, but we're calling it, I guess, a linear roadway or something. The improvements and the maintenance of 154, that's all going to be on the county, right? The city's not going to have to pay for any of that?
That's correct. I think that the concept, if you had heard it before publicly described, involved the creation of a park. At some point, it was discussed, a park on the bridge. That idea was abandoned. Then a park on the Miami Lakeside in the land abutting the bridge. That idea has been abandoned, in essence, by the town because in their proposal in April 6, they amended a proposal to allow them the opportunity to opt in to the idea of a park. And so we feel that if they're opting in, then their position today is that they're not interested in a park. And therefore, our proposal contemplates that the original concept, which was to have a limited open of 154 for first responders and for pedestrians and low impact vehicles like scooters and bicycles, be allowed.
Okay. And then, thank you. And then subsection 6A, and listen, I know in 10 years, I mean, I know a lot could happen in 10 years, right? And so, but either way, I still have to ask. So 154 will be discussed to open up after 10 years. And then if it does open, every 5 years, movement will be reviewed. Is that, I just want to make sure I'm reading that correctly.
So the concept is that 154 actually open if the county can construct on-ramps at 154 without any limitations. And we are hopeful that the county can accomplish that even before the 10-year mark. That's option B under 6B.
No, I got
But-
that. Yeah, I was going to get there, but I just want to make sure because in 6A, we talk about 97th Avenue having a connection to Miami Gardens Drive, right? And that needs to happen first before we do the 10-year review. My question is, number one, I wanted a clarification on the 10 years and the 5 years after that. But my question is, the connection from 97th Avenue to 186, is that us or is that the county that does that?
It's the county who
county.
has assumed that obligation. And so under the first concept in 6A, you're absolutely right that the county will make a commitment to create that connection. But ostensibly that connection is going to happen before the 10-year mark, which would require us to convene a tri-party committee and perform engineering studies about the conditions of traffic and have the committee decide whether opening 154 without any restrictions would be beneficial.
Right. Okay. And then leading to that traffic committee, I just want to understand how we came up with these numbers. We said 9 members,
Thank you.
four from Miami Lakes, 2 from Hialeah, 2 MDC, and then 1 unanimous. And then you just need a simple majority to get things done. How do we come up with those numbers?
Through negotiations, sir, concessions. And every settlement involves things you like and things you support and things you ask for, and others involve concessions.
Are you familiar with the term of sausage making?
Don't look at the factory.
All right. And then for 6B, the ramps that you were talking about was from 154 to 75. Um, If that, you're saying if that's done before the 10 years, 154 opens up?
That's right, sir, without limitations. That's
Okay.
our proposal.
Okay.
What's not in here, I think is important, is that you also have the commissioner of the district, in
Mm.
this case, Commissioner Garcia,
Mhm.
already working on these issues as far as ramps are
Oh,
concerned.
good.
And I
Okay.
know he's also involved, Congressman Diaz-Balard's office, as far as ramps are concerned, as far as funding and what have you. And then the debate on 154 ends with that.
Got it.
Over.
Got it. Okay. And then lastly, Lauren, I couldn't find it in the backup, 6-8, regarding the monument. It mentions that it's being relocated to parcel 5072. I didn't have exhibit A here. So is that still within, on the Miami Lake side, or is it, yeah? Okay.
I apologize, sir. Yes, the city is respectful of the wishes of the town with respect to the monument. And that portion of the agreement was negotiated with the county. And we're supportive of their attempt to ideally relocate the monument to this parcel. If it's donated to the town, they're agreeable with that idea. Our only concern is that the road, if it can open under the terms as proposed, then that the monument not impede the opening of the road to
Right,
vehicular
right.
traffic.
I would just say, yeah, for the city to, let's say we get to that point where 154 opens up and then Hialeah's the big bad wolf forcing them to move that monument. Ideally, I think we would want that monument to be moved beforehand, right? So are there negotiations between FDOT and Miami Lakes already happening with regards to that parcel?
I'm not aware about that. I think the county is also supportive of that position and would assist the town in negotiating with FDOT. I think that all parties, if they sign on to this proposal, have agreed to accept the fact that the road is primary in terms of goals and, the objective of opening 154 is first.
All right. Well, Mayor, thank you for this. I mean, I think we all know that those residents over there are in dire need. And this is, I mean, I think you said it before, you've been working on this at the county level, right? For I don't know how long, since 2017 or something like that. And to see this before us today, it's a big deal. So thank you, Mayor, and Lorena and your team. Thank you as well.
Through the chair,
Ma'am, you're recognized.
Mayor, what finally happened with the request that Commissioner Diaz, Pepe Diaz had asked for from the state in order to open the bridges, do the study, open the bridges? Did that ever continue or we stopped because the agreement is here?
Councilwoman, I think one of the things that Miami Lakes has obviously retained the right to litigate and to sue. And so that threat was hanging over whatever Commissioner Diaz wanted to do. And look, I publicly acknowledge not just Commissioner Diaz, Mayor Cava's office has been very involved.
Yes.
Jimmy Morales in this issue. Miami Lakes has been a willing partner to try to look for a solution. However, they continue to retain the threat of a lawsuit, right? So Commissioner Diaz's proposals have been met on the Board of County Commission with a lot of requests for deferrals and a request for the town and the city to come to an agreement. I think we're at an agreement. If you may recall, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, the time runs now,
Right.
that Miami Lakes took up the item, but they amended it. And they added a lot of amendments on there that quite honestly was not part of what we were initially negotiating with, and clear that county at this point was in the driver's seat. Our request has been from day one, 170th, and give us a path on 154. That is mutually acceptable. The town asked for certain things that the county acquiesced. A lot of the repairs and improvements are county dime that they're going to do, including 154. And quite honestly, Lorena and I were there as witnesses to what was being discussed and agreed. Now, when they started going a little sideways by adding things, this is where it comes back to us. What you see here Councilman Tundido will be able to appreciate this more than others. This is like the Senate and the House negotiating, okay? They sent us a bill, we amended it, we're sending it back. We think we're at a level now where the votes are there in Miami Lakes to agree. This is, I think, a good deal. And it's a good deal, quite honestly, because Miami Lakes insisted on certain things, made it better for us. Made it better for us. So, you know, where we're at right now is that if we approve this, Miami Lakes will take this up at their next council meeting. And then it's just a matter of taking it to the county that the city and the town have agreed. And then it's just a matter of now getting 7 votes in the county commission, which I think are there.
Right.
Based on the fact that we've fulfilled their request of having us agree to something.
So, Mayor, when are they going to present this to the town, to the council in the town?
I don't know what their special, they won't need a special meeting for this. Up to this point, we were trying to get special meetings on their side so that we could get what we wanted. They did a special meeting, but like I said, they started putting a lot of stuff in there requested by 2 council members that we're going to
Correct.
vote against it anyways.
Right.
So, you know, the request now is, look, this is what was originally negotiated. There
So we're back to the original.
to the
Okay,
original
okay.
agreement with some modifications that I think are acceptable for all
Not
parties.
right.
And then the hope is that in their next regular meeting, and I don't know what their schedule looks like. I don't know if they meet next week or tomorrow. I don't know what their schedule looks like, but it will be done hopefully before the end of May. And then we go to the commission in the county. Timetable would be, you know, if everything goes according to plan, which nothing has gone according to plan.
Correct.
Hopefully, you know, by the end of the summer,
We should have it done.
we have movement, car movement.
Did they, is the mayor insisting on a unanimous vote like he did last time? Thank you.
If I may, through the chair?
Ma'am, yes,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can.
Mayor, I wanted to see, did we have like any kind of survey to the bridge to make sure its infrastructure is safe after all these years that we haven't used it? Have we surveyed it before we open it?
Yes,
To
so,
ensure
so when
safety?
I was on the county commission in 2017, my resolution was to initiate the process of opening the bridge. This is before the lawsuits started to fly. That basically initiated an inspection of the bridge, repairs on the bridges and all that. The 170th bridge, all it needs at this point is some painting, because if any of you have been on that bridge, the graffiti is atrocious, and we don't want that. So they got to go in now, do some cosmetic paint, striping, and what have you. And then on the Miami Lake side, it has to do some work on the whatever the ramp is or whatever the slope down toward 87th Avenue. But as far as structurally sound, 170th, as far as I'm understanding, as far as everything that's been told to me, it is structurally sound and ready to take traffic.
Perfect. Okay, so it's past inspection.
Yes,
Thank you,
yes.
Mayor. I appreciate that. All right.
Motion.
Motion from Councilman Tundidor, second from Council Vice President Perez.
Okay.
Call the roll.
That's fine. Doesn't matter.
Thank you.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please read item M, the consent agenda, into the record.
Request from Fireworks Lady and Company LLC located at 8600 Northwest South River Drive, Suite 75, Miami, Florida, 33166 for a special events permit to host an annual Fireworks Lady demo shoot to include music played by a disc jockey, as well as to have a maximum of 2 food trucks to serve food and non-alcoholic beverages on Saturday, May 28th, 2022, from 6 p.m. until 10:30 p.m. to be held at the Mylander Park Field with an expected estimate of 100 attendees, subject to compliance with the requirements of the Hialeah Police Department, the Hialeah Fire Department, and risk management.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Just one moment. Avra, are you here for your item L? It passed. Okay, I just wanted to tell you, because I know you walked in not that long ago. That passed. You're good there. Thank you. For item what? E? Oh, 10E. Okay, we're still to get there. Madam
I
Casal
just-
Munoz, you're recognized on item M.
Okay, so this is, did you say for 100 people in Miami at the Mylander? Okay, have we done this event before here? Is there any questions? Does anybody know anything about this event?
No.
Anybody?
Who was this proposed by? Yeah.
Yeah.
City clerk, by?
No, well, it's my item because I'm
No, no, I know, I
processing.
know.
But the person, her name is
She's not here?
Patricia. She said she would be here at the meeting. Not sure if
She
she's here.
online? Hmm? Nothing.
Patricia Jamie. And then as far as whether there's been an event like this before, we would need to ask George Hernandez from Mylander.
And she wants to do a demo shoot?
Yeah.
With fireworks
Yes,
inside Mylander Stadium
that is
in the
correct.
AstroTurf?
That is correct.
Is
Motion
is
to
George
deny.
here?
Motion to deny.
Motion to deny. Okay. We have a motion to deny. Do we have a second?
One second, one
Is-
second. No, no,
I-
I just have a question.
Sir, you are recognized.
Yeah, so this event's supposed to be May 28th. And if everything gets, I mean, because I agree, I don't know what this is, but do we still have, would they still have an opportunity to come before the council before that meeting? Yes, right? Before that
Yes, they
event?
do, but they still need to comply with pulling a permit with fire and building.
Right, and so have they already pulled that or
No,
not yet?
they need this approval in order to move forward with that.
Oh,
That's
this
why I
comes
came
first.
today.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. All right, and so our next meeting is in what, like in 2
May
weeks?
10th.
May 10th? Okay,
Is
all right.
George on
Oh,
though,
wait a
so we
second,
could ask
listen.
George?
Look, I
Mayor,
don't know,
go
I don't
ahead.
know anything about the event. And I hate to have to kill something without knowing anything about the event. Knowing what I know about the people that take care of Mylander, I know that they will not allow fireworks on the field,
Right.
okay? So, I don't know if this is a setup where there's fireworks in the backdrop, maybe if like they shoot them out of the parking lot at
Immaculate?
Immaculate,
Or-
but, if they're not here, they're not here, and I don't.
And sir, we don't have any record from the applicant that she's asked for permission to utilize Immaculate. All she's asked us is to utilize the Mylander Park field.
Well, you're not gonna shoot fireworks on the Mylander Park field.
Correct.
That's pretty clear.
Correct.
So,
And we don't shoot them out, I mean, I know behind the stage, but we normally do it by the park where behind JFK, that's where we normally shoot them
So
from.
let me ask you something, is, just, maybe this is a question for you.
But 100 people in Mylander Stadium is a
It's
little
nothing.
weird, and it's a demo, that's my concern. That it's a demo, we don't know what type that they're doing? There's nothing in the application that describes it?
All she says in the application is that she's gonna have food trucks. She's gonna offer discounts for her fireworks. She's gonna serve beverages which are non-alcoholic.
Correct.
And she's gonna go ahead and have a third party shoot the fireworks.
But shoot the fireworks as a demo.
Correct.
So it's like something new that they're doing. I don't know.
They're
what-
probably demoing the fireworks.
To show what she has to offer.
Listen, we're just playing, Sell them. we're
Right,
playing, this
okay.
game, so.
We don't know.
I mean, I
We
don't know.
don't
I just feel bad doing that,
So,
but.
yeah, what I was.
I
gonna
agree-
ask-
I
what
agree,
was
but,
gonna ask just, if there's a way to tentatively approve something based on parameters that the council sets. Is there a way of doing something like that? Where you can say, okay, we're gonna approve this, provided you don't use the field itself for any demonstration. But she may be shooting this stuff out of the park, I don't know, parking, roof of
On
a
the
parking
general
lot. I
field
have
and
no
not the
idea, without any information.
Yeah.
Oh,
To-
okay.
no, to George.
Oh, to George.
He's sitting on.
Oh, well, no, yeah, we have
Can
one
we-
more meeting.
Yeah.
We have
If I may,
George. that
George
wants
is
to-
trying to get on.
Can we
George
do
Hernandez.
that
Wait, George is trying to
based
get on.
on, oh, George,
He's trying
okay.
to get on. He's trying to answer. He
Where
said
are
it's,
we?
it's in the general field, not the stadium. And I'm assuming that if we have a third party that's in charge of fireworks, I'm sure they'll lay out something on the field for it not to catch fire and not damage the field. Let's see, he's trying to get on, but it's a private event. So. You see him on?
I just concur with Councilwoman Casal Munoz. You're not on the football field.
We don't know enough.
I understand, and I don't want to set a precedent that we're allowing people to come in
have
and
George.
shoot fireworks on a continuous basis, that if we do this, because that I know of, I don't think we've ever done permits for anybody other than Fourth of July or city doing fireworks.
Hi, guys, can you hear me?
In my land.
We have George on. George, would you like, can you elaborate on this name and address for the record, sir?
Can you guys hear me?
Is he on?
We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
I just concur with Councilwoman myself. You're not gonna, not on the football. We don't know enough.
I understand. And I don't want to set a precedent that we're allowing people to come in and shoot fireworks on a continuous basis.
Guys,
Okay,
can you
motion to
hear me?
table.
The person who's interested should come here. We should have.
Can you guys hear me?
Done permits for anybody.
Motion has changed to motion to table from Ms. Casal Munoz. Do we have a second on the motion to table? Second by Councilman Rodriguez. Call the roll.
Elaborate on this.
Can you
Get it,
guys hear
George.
me?
Did I, Councilman Cobble, did I leave you hanging on a question, sir?
No, no,
Oh,
no.
you had a just, okay. Do I, so we have two motions, so we need to call the roll. Okay.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor.
Yes.
Mr. Zogby.
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is tabled until May 10th, 2022.
Very good, thank you. 10 administrative items. Madam Clerk, can you read 10A into the record?
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance submitting to the electorate at a special election conducted during the primary election of the city of Hialeah, occurring in the city of Hialeah, Florida on Tuesday, November 8th, 2022, wherein the electors of the city of Hialeah, Florida shall be privileged to vote on the following question. Title, Charter Amendment to Article 5 entitled Elections, providing for transfer of administration between succeeding mayors. Ballot question, shall the city amend the charter which provides that the term of any elected official commence at noon on the third day after election to provide instead that, beginning with the election held in November 2025, the term of office for mayor commence at noon on the second Monday in January following election, and if amended, then the incumbent mayor's terms be extended to January 12th, 2026, when the successor's four-year term shall begin. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for inclusion in charter, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Administrative item 10A is on second reading, open for public discussion.
Motion to approve.
Having none, pleasure of the council. We have a motion to approve from Councilwoman Casal Munoz.
Second.
Second from Councilwoman Garcia Robes. Please call the roll.
Ms. Perez? Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, read 10B into the record.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending the organizational structure of the city, creating a new finance management department, subordinating the finance department and office of management and budget as divisions of the new finance management department, placing the purchasing division under the supervision of the new finance management department, providing for duties and responsibilities for the new finance management department, and 3 subordinate divisions, and amending Chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hialeah entitled Administration, Article 2, Departments, Offices, and Divisions to conform, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item 10B is on second reading, open for public discussion. Would you like to comment on this, sir? Name and address for the record.
Eric Johnson, Hialeah Firefighters Local 1102 address will be exempt as per Florida Statutes 112. Listen, through the chair, thank you. This is probably the biggest thing we've seen financially in the city in many years. This is not a rebranding as some people have thought. This is a recreation. This is actually doing finances the proper way as a city, as a municipality, as a city government. For years and years and years, we've been forced to track the finance of the city, unfortunately, as a union. You know, when people are taken away from you nonstop, it's been done in year after year after year, you learn to fight and you learn to dig. And what we've learned is that things in Hialeah have been done so improperly, it's disgusting. So for the council that's about to prove this, for the mayor, for the administration that suggested this, thank you so much. It's really refreshing to see a change, especially with something like this. But prior to this, in the last item, I'm going to commingle a couple things. The words negotiations and settlements were mentioned. I know the mayor mentioned he's been working on the bridge project since 2017. Us firefighters have had a lawsuit filed against the city since 2015 on something that's very near and dear to us. It's called our health insurance, our health trust. And many of you heard me say the same things. For 35 years, we as firefighters managed our own health insurance. We managed our own health trust, and we saved this city $70 million, which unfortunately the past administration really didn't give a crap about and just wanted to punish us and took it away. I would like to offer the opportunity publicly again, meet and to resolve this lawsuit. It is time to move forward as a city. We are willing to, let's see the last words, talk about settlement and negotiations and move forward together hand in hand. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir. If there are no other comments from the public.
Motion to approve.
Motion for item 10B from Councilwoman Casals Munoz.
Second.
Second from Councilwoman Garcia Rovez. Please call the roll.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Rovez?
Yes.
Ms. Perez? Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please read 10C into the record.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance approving a drainage easement and indemnity agreement by and between the City of Hialeah, Florida and RELP Beacon Logistics LLC, a Delaware limited liability company in connection with the dedication of Northwest 145th Place from Northwest 102nd Avenue to Northwest 107th Avenue as a public road in substantial conformity with the copy attached as Exhibit 1, authorizing the execution of the agreement and all other necessary and customary documents by the mayor and the city clerk on behalf of the city, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Item 10C is on second reading, open for public discussion. Having none, pleasure of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion from Councilwoman Casals Munoz.
Second.
Second from Councilwoman Garcia Rovez. Please call the roll.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Rovez?
Yes.
Ms. Perez? Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please read item 10D into the record.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending Chapter 98 entitled Zoning, Article 5, Zoning District Regulations, Division 20, entitled ASD Automotive Sales District, creating a new section 98-1294 entitled Exceptions, establishing an exception allowing automobile rental satellite facilities to operate outside the automobile sales district, and amending Chapter 98 entitled Zoning, Article 5, Zoning District Regulations, Division 16, C-2 Liberal Retail Commercial District, Section 98-1111 of the City of Hialeah Code of Ordinances entitled Permitted Uses to include automobile rental satellite facilities, which would provide a convenient alternative to vehicle ownership, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Item 10D is on second reading, open for public discussion.
Motion.
Having none, we have a motion from Councilman Rodriguez, a second from Councilman Tundidor. Please call the roll.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Rovez?
Yes.
Ms. Perez? Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please read item 10E into the record.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending ordinance number 2022-003 adopted on February 8th, 2022 of the Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Chapter 18 entitled Businesses, Article 2, Special Events, amending Section 18-29, Permit Hialeah Park District by allowing the Factory Town Entertainment Subdistrict to cite special events of 60 days or less, amending Section 18-31, Permit Requirements for Special Events to add cost recovery if needed for review of applications, creating section 18-32, modification, suspension, or revocation of permit, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. 10E is on first reading, not open for public discussion, but certainly open for discussion from the dais. Madam Casals
Lorena, do
Munoz,
you
you're
wanna
recognized.
Just clarify something
Yeah,
on
good question.
Thank
I was going to ask her.
the,
We are including Factory Town in a special carve-out of our special events permit approval process, so that they are able to come in through an administrative review process as opposed to coming before the council for events organized to take place within the district that do not exceed 60 days. So in essence, they would have to go through an administrative application review and approval process. That's part of the proposed amendment to 1829. And the other provisions would apply just in general. We had discussions about having our own sound engineer. At the last event, the district offered and made a commitment to have an engineer available, but we figured that if there came a point in time, and this is just generally to applicants of all sorts of commercial events, where we thought we needed a particular technician, or using the Factory Town example, our own sound engineer, that we would be in a position to make that determination and pass the cost of that expense to the applicant. And then the other thing, there's a procedural amendment that talks about revocation and a hearing for revocation.
So through the chair, so in other words, the administration's gonna say yes or no as far as what they can do there? Is that my understanding?
Only for special events permit.
Got it, okay. I'm good.
Councilman,
chair.
oh, yes, ma'am. Go
but
on.
they still would go to, they would have to check with fire and police, just like they've always done. So they still have that process for the special events.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
For events under 60 days, which is a pretty long time, but if you had events exceeding that, then they would have to come in before council.
For the council, correct.
And also a comment, Chief, we had a great event there. Everybody was telling us, no complaints, so thank you.
I went to that event and it was spectacular, and I left very late and I drove around at 3 o'clock in the morning. You couldn't hear it by wherever the street was.
You need to get home earlier.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Motion, Councilman, one moment, Councilman Calvo. I know I have a motion from you. I'll remember, don't worry.
Through the
Go
chair,
ahead.
have we looked at, Madam Attorney, have we looked at doing this potentially in other areas of the city? I'm thinking like Lay Arts or anywhere else that we have these kinds of events routinely.
No, sir, in the sense that these are sizable properties. Factory Town is 5 acres under one ownership and control.
Right.
So when you talk about Lea Arts District, you may have different interest landowners with separate event proposals. And so we amended this ordinance to create a committee review and approval, to make a recommendation and have them come before the council.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
Through the chair.
Sir, you're recognized.
Yeah, I just want to say I also passed by there and I thought I had the wrong place or the address because there was no
It's too
noise
quiet.
from where we were at until
Yeah.
we got inside. So job well done. And thank you for keeping your word on that. And again, I mean, if this expedites, certain things for future events, then why not? So I second that motion.
All right, we have a motion from.
Chief, did we
Oh,
get any
question.
complaints?
Go on.
I'm sorry.
Go on, madam. Yeah.
I have
So,
a motion.
Yes, go on.
But I wanted to ask Madam
Oh, go
Attorney
ahead.
whenever she's.
Mhm.
Madam Attorney, how does this agreement change or fluctuate if they change partnerships of owners to the property?
I think I have to get back to you on that because I don't know within their zoning application and the specific regulations that were adopted for this district, they have proffered, or there has been already recorded, a unity of title for the land that is aggregated as the 5 acres. So if that's already been taken place, then that would not be a concern. If they proffered that to us, if that hasn't been addressed already, then that it would not be a concern, because the unity of title would all remain under one.
So we don't know if it's divided by different ownership yet?
I'm not sure. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
Can we ask the applicants? I think there's somebody here representing.
Well, this is a
them.
legislative amendment, but they certainly have information about the property itself. Sure.
Through the chair, is that
Unless
okay?
Deborah's
Yes,
also-
of course. You have the right to do it. Avra, come on up.
As I think as they're coming up, I would think about, since it's similar to the Hialeah Park. I
A
guess-
little smaller. I'm sorry, I'm my
Li-
pride.
yeah,
I'm
little
sorry,
small.
go
It's
ahead.
okay, it's
All right,
right.
go ahead.
It's all
Yours
right.
too, yours
I
too.
feel the same way, but it's kind of like, I would think it'd be addressed the same way.
I
If
I
John's
agree.
already
It would,
decided-
the ordinance should go with the land.
With the land,
My
yeah.
understanding.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
But if they have different ownerships, then that would still go under the land.
Well, my understanding is the concern that we've identified the district in the zoning code. The district is
owner.
identified as a 5 acre, 6 acre area of
See?
land. They're inching.
Don't
inching
you
closer.
hate it when they shrink your property?
And so my concern, I understand the concern based on the legislative proposal to be that if Hialeah district is the 6 acres and any portion of the 6 acres were transferred to someone else, whether that smaller parcel would have the right to come in through this administrative.
Correct. That's my main concern.
Okay.
Well, she could answer if she owns the 6 acres.
Yes.
A name and address for the record, madam.
Yes, Avra Jane, 720 Northeast 69th Street, Miami. Yeah, so it's one ownership, 6.3 acres, one LLC with no intention of dividing it. You know, we're working with zoning. We have a comp plan in now for the whole site with phase development. And
Fabulous.
based on our last conversations I had with in the mayor's interest in the history of the site and Hialeah, we put together a book. So we usually do a deep dive before we sort of commit to a property. So hopefully you guys will get a little glimpse into what we were looking at when we saw the site.
Thank you very much. This is awesome. Thank you.
We love us some factory town.
There's a motion
We love
to
it. We have a motion
And a second.
from Councilman Rodriguez, a second from Councilman Tundidor. Please call the roll.
Mr. Calvo? Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for May 10th, 2022.
Take
Through
care.
the
Go
chair.
get him, Evra. Ma'am, you're recognized.
There's a picture that I need to send to you. That's an aerial picture that the racetrack was there. The first highlight was there and the dog track was there in the same picture by 1919 or 1920. So I need to send that to you because I do have a lot of our history here as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Evra. Okay. Madam Clerk, please read 10F into the record.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending ordinance number 2013-83 adopted on November 26, 2013, amending chapter 46 entitled Historical Preservation of the Code of Ordinances, and in particular revising Hialeah Code Section 46-40 entitled Powers and Duties to allow the naming of city buildings, facilities, parks, rights of way, and other city properties after elected federal officials or relatives of elected federal officials during the lifetime of the elected federal officials, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. 10F is on first reading, limited to discussion by council or mayor.
Through the chair.
Pleasure of the council. Madam, you're recognized.
You want to explain a little bit? The federal part?
I was never really enamored by the idea that we prohibit the naming of facilities or buildings by folks that may have had an impact one way or another. But I respect it. But I believe that
Your time is up. Thank you, Mayor.
But I believe that if we wanted to entertain the idea of naming something after someone who has served at the federal level and is perhaps beloved by our city, has helped us get funding for our city, I think we shouldn't be limited to that. And perhaps we may be able to bring something in the future for this council to consider. Obviously, we wouldn't do anything without the council's approval, but it's something that the council may want to consider in the future.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. And I also agree I didn't agree with it when it passed and when we changed our ordinance. So with that, I motion to approve.
If I may, through the chair.
Ma'am, you're recognized.
Mayor, is there a reason why we're limiting it to federal officials only?
Council couldn't expand it if they want. But I didn't want to open Pandora's box on a local political fight. There are some federal officials that I think warrant or get to a certain level that have a long-term serving of our community, have represented our community, some less time. But I've always felt that a council member or any legislative body that I have been reserved the right. Some I've served with folks that will not vote for anybody, no matter their record, as long as they're alive. And I've always
Right.
respected that. Others feel that you should reward folks while they're alive
Right.
for whatever contributions they've made. So, Councilwoman, I have zero problem amending it to expand it. In essence, perhaps repealing what was done at one time. I have no problem whatsoever.
With your permission, I would like to repeal then what was done prior or amending it, whichever Madam Attorney, if you could guide us in whichever way would be easiest.
Sure, so we could just strike the language after, in subsection 13, beginning with provided, so that it would end at community or public service, humanitarian, financial, or business contribution to the municipality, state, or country, period.
Okay, let's see where,
So it'd be anyone,
Any elected official.
any
Sure.
elected official. Yes.
You said it was a subsection.
13, it's, if you look at your proposal, it's the section being proposed for amendment, 4640, sub A, sub 13. It's page 2 of your proposed agenda.
I just, through the chair.
Yes, sir, you're recognized.
I just want to be clear. So this amendment would, but in essence, it would let anyone's name that's living today or dead on a city building. Is that what we're saying?
Elected.
Voted on by the
Elected or-
council.
Well, the council would, someone would
council
have
would
to
vote it.
nominate, the
Yeah.
council would have to
We'll have to
approve.
go through. the
It
process.
depends on my understanding, some of these things may require historical board to look at it and designate it.
I think all of it
So
goes through the historic,
hypothetically-
correct, Lorena?
Hypothetically, if you wanted to rename JFK, let's say Obama Library, right? You'd have to go ahead and run it through the proper channels in order to be able to do it. And then the council at that end could go ahead
So-
and vote on it.
So we could rename the the Brian Calvo Water Department. We could do that? Is that?
Wow, wow, is that what we
it.
got? Is that where we're at right
I
now?
want to understand
Wow.
how far we can push this.
Brian Calvo and Armando Vidal.
I
Motion to deny.
I've
That was
lost
a joke, that
control.
was a joke.
Can I get a statue too?
A monument.
There we go. Are you gonna both share?
It would just be an elected official.
Do we,
If
Go
it
ahead.
goes through the
Go on.
process and it meets the standard and they're alive, not wait till someone's dead,
It's just that kind of stuff, I think,
but not rename. It
You
would
know,
be
I'm
new.
just speaking frank here,
No,
right?
but
It
it
just,
could be.
It could be.
It
a
could be. So
renaming.
when you
Could
change
be.
this, it could be, just to clarify, whether it's rename or name something new or rename something.
But I would amend it to not renaming, just to have new structures, new buildings, new parks, new streets, not renaming.
wait, but is that
That's what
is
I
that
would
you were
say
going
to-
towards, or?
That's what,
No,
no,
I think
it's
that's like
renaming what's already
legislative
existing.
prerogative, right? It's a proposal. You can decide if,
Yeah, I think, Council, Vice President, it's just my opinion. I think if we limit it, you know, how it's done originally, it prevents us from being in a weird spot, right? I mean, you know, someone comes before us and, you know.
I'm not going to ask you to name something.
Yeah,
else.
yeah,
Calm
yeah,
down,
we
okay?
know.
I get it. I get
We
it.
know.
Okay. Cabo doesn't get anything. I get it. I get it. Okay.
You know, I don't know.
That you would have to say no, that you would feel in the position that you're saying no to somebody that is an elected official. That's what you're saying, that you would feel uncomfortable. So leaving it that way.
I just think it makes more sense.
so the
Okay.
proposal is not while they're in office, but alive.
After, alive. It wouldn't be in office.
Yeah, but if they're alive, they're still going to look at you.
I mean,
In or out of
I'm
office,
okay-
you
I'm
got to
okay
bump
with
into
that.
them.
I
in
think
the-
we
in
should
the-
take baby steps. I think we should take baby steps. Start with the federal officials and
see,
take
yeah.
baby steps.
But
Yeah,
Mayor,
I think, yeah,
it's to rename buildings that are already existing.
they can do
So we're
that.
gonna change structures that have already, JFK, let's say. It's to change that name that's already been here in the city. We're
Done
gonna
it.
go back and do that.
We've done it before.
I'm not proposing renaming JFK. Let me just say that for the record, okay? Just I want to make it clear. And I'm not insinuating that any one of you want to name it Obama
Right.
Library either. But there may be opportunities. And I've seen this already in many instances where we've got roads here that have 3 different names on it. So it doesn't limit us if we wanted to. If we wanted to, again, and I'm not proposing any name today, but I don't want to limit ourselves for the opportunity if we wanted to do something in the future. That's all. Nothing may happen. Nothing possibly may happen, but it does limit.
But I'm just afraid of the mayor that comes after you that may not want, or may want to change the name of JFK.
City council,
Can?
as far as I remember, 4 council members will trump a mayor. 5? No, well, 4, 5 absolutely. 4 Trump, 5
supermajority.
absolutely, 7 without question. So
Right.
the beauty of our system is
No,
that
yeah, I agree, I
nobody
agree.
has.
Can we change the JFK name? I mean, I'd be open to it.
What have we done? What have we done?
Now we're
Well-
getting comments from the
Here we have a
peanut gallery.
former
Look at that,
elected
look at that.
official. What do you want named after you, sir?
So I just leave it to the pleasure of the council. I mean, I would like to see if maybe we take off and strike the federal official, but I'll leave it up to the pleasure of the council, whatever you guys agree with.
That being said, do we have a motion on 10F as it stands?
Yeah, I think
First reading.
it's first reading. You
Yeah.
know,
Okay.
yeah.
Is that a motion, Councilman Tundidor?
Motion, yeah.
Motion from Councilman Tundidor,
Second.
second from Councilman Rodriguez. Call the roll,
Perfect.
please.
Ms. Casal Munoz,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zagbi,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved without amendment. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for May 10th, 2022.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please read 10G into the record.
First reading and proposed ordinance supplementing resolution number 2021-124 adopted on September 14th, 2021, authorizing the exchange of Series 2022 note for the Series 2021 note in the amount of $28,400,000,000, providing for the rights, securities, and remedies for the owner of the Series 2022 note, authorizing certain city officials to execute such Series 2022 note and all necessary documents on behalf of the city, and to take all actions required in connection with the delivery of such Series 2022 note, making certain covenants and agreements in connection therewith, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. 10G is on first reading, limited to discussion from the dais.
Through the chair.
Ma'am, you're recognized.
Mayor, can you elaborate on this?
I could try, but I won't do justice to it. So I'm going to do this trick where I kind of like.
I saw you, Colleen.
Yeah. It's important that you pay attention to what the gentleman's about to say, because this item and the next one requires your attention.
Good evening,
Name and
council
address for the
members.
record.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, council members. Sergio Masvidal, Public Financial Management. We're financial advisors to the city, 2222 Ponce de Leon Boulevard, Coral Gables, Florida. The item before you was actually approved back in September 2021. It was a refinancing of the 2012 bonds that had been previously issued by the city for interest rate saving. Within that clause, without getting too technical into bond law, within that clause, we refinanced those bonds with taxable bonds at the time because tax regulations required us to do so. However, there was a clause within that loan document that allowed us to convert those to a tax exempt financing at this point in time. So effectively what we're doing is the loan documents stay the same, everything stays the same. The rate, however, is changing from a 1.98% that was originally to 1.68%.
Wow.
So it's about $500,000 in additional savings that you will achieve by passing this, or hearing it tonight and then passing it to second reading.
Very important.
It does beg a question. I think this is the one we were talking about. So apparently, you said the feds are getting together May 3rd.
I'm sorry, that's the next item.
That's the next one. Okay,
This is
then,
fixed.
okay, this is the different one. Okay, then we'll go to the next one.
So nothing else changed on the notes, nothing changed the length, nothing.
Nothing else changed, just the rate going from a taxable rate to a tax exempt rate, about 30 basis point change. Over the totality of that loan, it's $500,000 in additional savings.
With both things that we're changing. That's the total that
Only
we're going to be,
changing the interest rate,
right,
correct.
the interest rate. Okay.
Through the chair.
Sir, you're recognized.
I'm sorry, Lorena, what was this bond for again when we pulled it?
2012, I think, were roadway improvements that have been refinanced since 2005, and probably a bond issue that was issued historically even prior to that. But we can get you the original issue and the improvements if you'd like information on that.
Thank you.
A pleasure of the council or any other?
Again, and I'm sorry,
Sir,
Councilwoman.
go ahead.
I just want to, I wanted to see if it was possible, but this seems, it is over 20 years old, right? Is this, I mean, I wanted to understand what was the return on that bond, right? I mean, you know, to get a better idea of where did the money go? How did it better the city? I mean,
We could bring that information
Okay.
in the second reading.
Okay,
It's a
that's fine.
valid question.
all right, motion.
Motion from Councilman Tundidor,
Second.
second from Councilwoman Garcia Rovez. I'm sorry, did you have a?
She had a
No.
motion, so second.
You
by
did?
Tundero.
Second is, you're the first motion. You want first or second? First or second is good for you? Okay. So we have a first from Ms. Casal Munoz, a second from Councilman Tundidor. Call the roll.
Ms. Garcia Robles?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez? Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz? Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for May 10th, 2022.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please read 10H into the record.
First reading of proposed ordinance supplementing ordinance number 10-40 enacted by the City Council on June 22nd, 2010, authorizing not to exceed $41,500,000,000 utility system revenue refunding bonds, Series 2022, providing for the issuance of such Series 2022 bonds to refinance certain debt obligations, delegating the award of the sale of the Series 2022 bonds to the mayor, appointing a registrar and paying agent, approving the form of the escrow deposit agreement, approving the execution and delivery of a bond purchase agreement, approving the execution and delivery of a disclosure dissemination agent agreement, appointing a dissemination agent, amending ordinance number 10-40 to change the definition of finance director, providing certain covenants and agreement in connection with the issuance thereof, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Item 10H is on first reading, open for discussion From the dais, madam, you're recognized.
Just curious why we have to appoint a register and paying agent and approving, well, the escrow deposit is fine, but why do we have to appoint a registrar and a paying agent? So,
So again, Sergio Maciel, PFM Financial Advisor. So to answer your question about the registrar and paying agent, it's customary in the capital markets for public finance that a registrar or paying agent, basically what's happening is the city is paying that paying agent registrar. They are tracking ultimately the bondholders, which there could be barriers in any case. So it's a pretty customary practice. I'll
Okay.
also let you know, just a paying agent registrar typically, we haven't gotten quotes yet, I don't believe, but typically it's in the cost range of about $3,000, one-time fee.
okay. And the savings here?
Savings here are a little bit more significant than the last one we spoke about. So this is our utility bonds that were issued in 2011. So for the utility system, the savings here on a gross basis are $7.7 million to be realized over the course of the financing. The final maturity on these bonds is 2041. So it's a little bit under $400,000 a year in interest rate savings that you'll achieve. Now, I want to caveat that very carefully, and this is what the mayor was alluding to. The interest rate is not locked on this loan yet. We cannot lock the interest rate on this loan until second reading. We don't have authority to do so. So I will come back to you on May 10th, I believe is the next meeting. We'll have a very good idea as to what the interest rate market is doing at that point in time, and we are attempting to lock it the very next day.
Okay.
It's no secret what's been happening
Right.
in the capital markets. Treasury rates are up almost 200 basis points over the course of the year. There is another federal funds meeting May 3rd and 4th. So we're watching that very carefully. They are very likely to increase rates. Some of those rate increases, I'm sure the market has already considered and is already included in the numbers I'm giving you today. However, we don't know exactly what the Fed will do. We don't know what they will say. Rates will change between now and then. So the numbers I'm quoting you today, I just want to be very careful that nothing is locked. Again, we'll come back to you May 10th with a much better idea as to where we expect to price the next day.
What interest rate do we have on this right now?
On the existing loan or on the
On the existing?
The existing loan is, I believe, about 4.75% on average. Coupons and yields are different along the maturity scheme. And
Okay.
then the rate I'm quoting today, based on where we estimate the market, is about 3.75%.
Okay. Yeah, and they're definitely going to go up.
They have been going up.
They have.
We're hoping for some stability.
So
between now and
what I was alluding to, and really it's a question for Lorena. So our next council meeting is after the feds get together, right? And so there is a possibility, although notwithstanding what he just said, that it might be already baked in, but it may not, right? So that savings that he talked about, it was 7.7. If I'm not mistaken, earlier in our conversation, if we would have done this back in September or October, November, when we were-
Yeah, let's not go that
it
back.
would have been about $10 million in savings.
Right.
All right. So that number scared me a little bit. So really the question is there a mechanism for us not to have to wait until the next council meeting?
And we have a special meeting?
Special
There's-
meeting is today.
There's not enough time
Oh, to
because we are required to
advertise.
publish by the charter a 10-day ad prior to second reading. That's our public meeting. And so between now and May 10th, there aren't 10 days and making publication time to even beat the Fed meeting.
When's the Fed meeting?
May 3rd.
Oh, yeah, there's no way.
So the question really was a Hail Mary to see if we could somehow or another waive the rules, because it is in the best interest, which we do all the time. We waive everything for its best interest of the city. This is in the best interest of the residents of the city, right?
Right.
But apparently that's, we don't have a path for that. And so we run the risk. It is not going to be, I don't think the number's going to be that substantial, right? But we do
It's,
run
but
the risk.
you're looking at one point. The 1 point is easy to go up. Everything that's been going up in the interest rates have been more than 1 point. It's 1.75, 1.25. You haven't seen anybody raising 0.5. So,
And unfortunately, if the follow-up question, which is a legitimate question, why didn't we just do this before? We just didn't have the financial.
well, we yeah,
Weren't there.
right.
We are there now.
Monday,
but
what is it? Monday night
Morning
quarterback?
quarterback, Monday morning quarterback.
Monday, whatever quarterback. So the question is, if it stays 4.75, it's not going to be feasible for us to do this either way. And because I know there's a cost and everything to this. So I,
These are very good questions, and I think it's important to know a couple things. One is, it's not a dollar for dollar, right? If the Fed raises rates, which they're expected to on May 3rd or 4th, it could be 25 basis points, it could be 50 basis points. They're raising the short-term rate, federal fund rate. Now, that drives the 10-year treasury, which ultimately drives our municipal capital
Correct.
markets. Now, if they raise it 50 basis points, that doesn't mean automatically we're going to have a 50 basis point increase, right? So it's not exactly match to match. So that's one part of it. I fully expect them to raise 50 basis points. That's only my, one man's opinion.
right?
I don't believe that's going to erode your savings entirely to the point where you don't want to complete the transaction. Again, I will come back to you May 10th and give you, again, my best estimate that day. And we will try our very best to price the next day and lock in that rate. Of course, no one gets paid on this transaction until it closes.
Right.
So the city's not at risk necessarily, to your point, on costs there. But we will tell you exactly what we think the number will be, and then we can always come back after we've locked that rate and kind of report ultimately what the result was. If that's helpful.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Just-
You're recognized.
I just want to have a good understanding on this. What do we use for collateral? Is this, do we use the water revenue for this?
So correct. The pledge on these bonds is the utility system revenues.
Okay, and then, so this doesn't require, and I'm just, from my knowledge, so this wouldn't require a bond referendum, right? So the prior bond though, was that a referendum?
No, sir. I don't believe you have any general obligation bonds. on your book. All
Only
you have
general
are
obligation
revenue
bonds.
bonds.
And what revenue are we using for the prior bond?
Non-ad valorem revenues of the city.
Which ones?
I have to look at the terms of the loan.
Okay. All right. Can we also get just kind of like a sketch or an outline on the return of this, what we did for this? Okay. Because I think, these tools are really important for the future for whatever it is that we're trying to do. And it's always good to look back and show your constituency, hey, this is what we did, right, with the money before. So, okay. Thank you. Motion.
Motion from Councilman Tundidor. Second from Councilwoman Garcia Rovez. Call the roll.
Ms. Perez?
Thank you.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tunidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Rovez?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for May 10th, 2022.
10I is deferred until May 10th. 11 board appointments.
Pobrecito,
Clerk?
the family of Gordillo have been here.
They're there? Where- oh,
Yes.
boy.
Proposed resolution appointing Alexander Gordillo to the Youth Advisory Board of the City of Hialeah, Florida, for a 2-year term ending on April 26, 2024.
Madam Garcia Rovez, do you want to add anything to this?
Well, I think he's very qualified. His resume is amazing. He's in a lot of clubs. He's the president of his school. He goes to Mast Academy. I mean, it's just incredible.
That's it?
Would you like to say a few words?
Do you want to come up? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a karate man?
Oh, and he plays
Karate man.
violin. He plays violin.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. We're lucky to have him then.
He's like a little Calvo. Anyhow,
I do play the violin.
Thank you, Alexander. Thank you. Do we have
No.
a motion? Motion from Councilwoman Garcia Rovez, second from Councilwoman Vivian Casals Munoz. Call the roll.
Video at my high school talent show.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tunidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Rovez?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Congratulations. Welcome.
Congratulations, Alexander. Thank you. Thank
Alexander, do you
Thank
have a
for
family
serving.
member named Richard? Because I went to school, that's not a very common name, with Richard Gordillo. He lived on 53rd.
12, unfinished business.
I have one.
Through the
Any
chair.
unfinished business? Yes, sir.
So I just wanted to, very quickly, we had spoken about the CRA at the last meeting.
Yes.
So I was able to get into contact with the West Palm Beach CRA. It's actually interesting because one of the people that runs that CRA is actually Hialeah born and raised native, graduated from Barbara Goldman, and now, kind of runs things over there. And so they're graciously invited us as a council, the mayor, of course, to come visit and see their CRA. They do some very interesting things over there in terms of districts. And I think it would be kind of an on the grounds learning experience of what that could bring to Hialeah. So that would be May 17th. They're expecting us at 10:30 in the morning at West Palm Beach City Hall. And it would be probably ending the day somewhere around after lunchtime, 2 p.m. If my colleagues would like, we can, schedule so that we take the Tri-Rail over there, and that way it'll make that commute a little bit easier. So there's an 8:30 train that leaves Hialeah Tri-Rail Station, and it'll get us about 10 in the morning, 10:15 in the morning over there to West Palm Beach, CRA. And I think we would, if we're all going, or at least more than one council member is going, then we would need to sunshine the meeting, I believe, Madam Attorney.
Yeah, I would caution you, and I'm gonna look at what it is we would have to do
Yeah.
to publish that
Because
notice.
I saw Miami-Dade County, they'd had a delegation go to Israel recently, and they sunshined the meeting, even though they were meeting in Israel. So I think that would just cover our bases in case we're going to be talking about anything. But yeah, so that would be the tour, May 17th. I would urge all of you that can make it.
What day of the week is that?
It's a Tuesday.
Tuesday, May 17th.
May
And we'd
17th.
have to rendezvous at Tri-Rail on 25th Street.
If we want to go by the train, I would suggest that. There's an 8:30 train that leaves Hialeah Tri-Rail.
Okay.
Gets us there at 10:15, and the meeting's at 10:30. They'll walk us there. We'll meet the West Palm mayor, their CRA board, CRA director, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you for arranging that. Any comment from?
Very, very cool. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I would
I'm
love to
looking
go.
forward to that.
Lorena, you'll follow up with us to make sure?
Absolutely, we need to be very
Yes,
careful.
yes.
I have some concerns, but I will look into it. And you said May?
17th.
We have done tours in the city, all of us together, about what somebody talking about things and we've gone on a bus and we've taken a tour and talked about the future, have somebody speak about the future. We've done that in the past when.
I've been unaware of that, ma'am. I think
Like
it's something that we
fact-finding?
need to, there's no such thing as a fact-finding expedition, sir, for members of the same voting
Okay.
council. So we
Okay.
just need to be very careful. Please give me an opportunity to look into
Sure.
that. And I
Yeah,
will
we'll have
communicate
one
with you
council
through the
meeting
clerk.
before that either way. So
That's true.
we can
That's
hash it all out by then.
Okay,
True.
good. Thank
Anything-
you.
Anything else, sir?
Well, just for new business, now that I'm here, we had a quick cleanup on Saturday in celebration of Earth Day. I just wanted to report that we were able to collect over 500 pounds of trash
Wow.
from the Leah Arts District and East 10th Ave. I'd like to do more of this in the future. I will let you know as these are organized. This was organized not by me. I can't take the credit. It was a nonprofit organization called Gone MIA in collaboration with Debris Free Oceans. And they were able to, we had over 40 volunteers there, picked up, like I said, over 500 pounds of trash, and we could have collected another 500 easily. So I'd like to thank also the chair, Mr. Zogby, for helping out and getting his hands dirty
What?
on that effort.
What?
It was a sight to see. For
You didn't
sure.
just stand there and tell people where to go?
But that dirties hands.
Voy a tirar un foto 'cause-
It was a great event. We had a lot of fun. Thank you for putting that together, sir.
Of course.
Thank you. Anything else under new business? This concludes the administrative part of the meeting. Have a good night, Mr. Mayor. Do you need a couple of minutes for technical? Okay, we're going to take just a 3 or 4 minute break, right? Before we go to planning and zoning, just for technical adjustments. Thank you, everyone. Good night, Mayor. Good night, Chief. Remember to turn your mics off while we're on break. issue is, who is that?
I have a bit of an
I'll tell the
emergency.
clerk. Did you
okay?
tell her? You want me to tell
No,
her?
I haven't been able to
Okay.
tell her yet. I haven't been able to tell her.
Okay, okay. Good night, Monica.
Bye, sorry, thank
Bye.
you.
You have this yours? Do you need help with this?
No, it's all right.
Okay.
I didn't want
I know, that's, Marbelli's.
Yeah.
since it was gonna be, that street's really dangerous.
Ay, man. Menos mal que esto paga bastante.
So if we wanna do one like in a park or something, that then we can invite everybody, you know? So we're just trying to keep it small.
Freezing. It's like a morgue in here. You know, how you doing, Abdel? Good, brother. Okay. Oye, vení que tarde hoy, we're gonna have to dock you. Acuérdate de that ordinance we put. No, no, no. No. Leave it, that gets freezing in here, but I don't think there's anybody here right now that can address it. It's like a prison. It's like a morgue. It's like, one time we had a meeting in our training building and we brought, Dr. Haima, medical examiner at the time. And it was so cold in that training building. When he was done with his presentation, he goes, "This is colder than my facility." And I go, "We did this for you, sir. We did this for you." Y todo el mundo se reía. It was so cold. El tipo dice, "It's colder." Y I just have to say it. I don't know why it was so cold that day. Pero esta cámara, Marina, how's everything going? You busy? ¿Tienes trabajo? ¿Qué? No, todavía. Mira que la gente habla basura. You're always busy, right? You always keep, yeah, yeah. Sí. Y no te...
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Is everybody here? Everybody here? Oh, we don't have a clerk. You can clerk?
We're here. We got four.
Okay.
We got four. We got quorum.
You want to? Yes, please. And Ms. Perez left?
You want to go left?
Okay,
Yeah.
are we on? Is the mic on,
Is the mic
Silvana?
on? I was just saying,
No, we have
four
land
then?
use
Okay.
items. We need 5.
Okay.
So
and Z section at 9:47 PM.
as the
Up.
clerk walks in.
Oh, thank you, Madam Clerk. Aprender el video, everybody's mics and videos. We haven't sworn in yet. But we're back on. Not yet. We haven't done this.
Will all those persons who will be testifying on an item, please stand and raise your right hand.
Las personas que quisieran presentar sus opiniones delante de esta junta, por favor pónganse de pie y alcen la mano derecha.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? If so, say I do.
¿Usted jura o afirma que el testimonio que va a dar será la verdad, toda la verdad y únicamente la verdad y que Dios sea su testigo? Por favor, diga que sí si la respuesta es afirmativa.
Let the record reflect that all have responded in the affirmative.
En archivo público constará que todas han respondido afirmativamente.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you please read EZ1 into the record?
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning property from RO Residential Office to B1 Highly Restricted Retail District and granting a variance permit to allow 19 parking spaces where 22 parking spaces are required. Contrary to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-2189, subsection 7. Property located at 301 East 49th Street, Hialeah, zoned RO, residential office, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. PZ1 is on second reading, open for public discussion. If there is any. Oh, yes. PZ1, open for public discussion. Having none, pleasure of the council. PZ1.
Motion.
Motion from Councilman Rodriguez. Second. Second from Councilman Tundidor. Please call the roll.
Mr. Tumidor,
Yes.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you, Manny. This is a nice project. Thank you.
It really is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, it is. Beautiful. PZ2, please, Madam Clerk.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning from R1 One Family District to R33 Multiple Family District, granting a variance permit to allow front setback of 10 feet where 25 feet is a minimum required, allow interior east and west side setback of 5 feet where 10 feet is a minimum required, allow lot coverage of 51% where 30% is a maximum allowed, and allow pervious area of 24.2% where 30% is the minimum required, all contrary to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Sections 98-589, 98-590, 98-2056, subsection B2, and 98-2056, subsection B1. Property located at 541 East 22nd Street, Hialeah, zoned R1 One Family District. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. PZ2 is on second reading, open for public discussion, having none online or present.
Motion
Pleasure
to
of the
approve.
council. Motion from Councilwoman Casals Munoz.
Second.
Second from Councilwoman Garcia Rovez. Please call the roll.
Mr. Zogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Tunidor.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you for your patience.
PZ3, please.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a variance permit to allow 20 parking spaces where 32 parking spaces are required, allow 15.8% pervious area where 18% pervious area is the minimum required, partially waive a 7-foot landscape buffer adjacent to the parking spaces fronting Palm Avenue, and allow a 3-foot front setback for a dumpster enclosure where 10 feet is the minimum required, all contrary to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-2189, subsection 7, and 78.108, subsection C1, and contrary to the City of Hialeah Landscape Manual, latest edition, dated July 9, 2015, property located at 4526 and 4546 Palm Avenue, Hialeah, zoned C1, Restricted Retail Commercial District, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. PZ3 is on second reading, open for public discussion. All those in opposition, please move to the front of the room, having no one here.
Motion.
Okay, you don't even
Second.
get to talk. Motion from Councilman Rodriguez, second from Councilman Casals Munoz. Call the roll.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Perez? I'm sorry, she's not in the meeting. Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank
That was
you.
easy, huh? Okay. PZ4.
PZ4 is postponed, sir.
That's right. PZ5, please.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a special use permit to allow the expansion of the neighborhood business district overlay for the development of a 27-unit multifamily building pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-1630.8, granting a variance permit to allow only residential uses where mixed use is required, allow residential use on the ground floor where residential use is allowed above ground floor level only, allow 18 residential units with an area of 595 square feet, where 850 square feet is the minimum required, and only 10% of the units may have an area of 600 square feet. Allow 7 feet front setback on East 7th Avenue for encroachment of balconies above the ground floor, where 10 feet built line are required. Allow 32 parking spaces where 61 parking spaces are required, and allow 29.6% pervious area where 30% is the minimum required. All contrary to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, sections 98-1630.1, 98-1630.2, 98-1630.3, subsection E1, 98-2189, subsection 16A, and 98-2056, subsection B1, property located at 40 East 10th Avenue, Hialeah, Zone C2, Liberal Retail Commercial District, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Is the applicant here?
Good question. It's on first reading, pleasure of the council or discussion. Ma'am, you're recognized.
I wanted to know if the applicant
Yeah.
was here. I wanted to
Mhm. Right.
get a little bit, or Deborah, can you give us a little bit about what's going on with this property?
Came in the past to ask for the same thing, that they were building a larger building with more units and taller. And now when they did the numbers, they realized that they can only build 27. So they are coming and asking for this. It's a nice project. It's a very drawing. It's consistent with the area, the scale, and everything. It's compatible.
So this is Palm and 10th, right off Palm and 10th, correct? And
No, Hialeah Drive, Hialeah Drive.
Oh, no, it's on the main.
It's the block is on Hialeah Drive between.
10th Avenue, I'm sorry, 10th Avenue and 40th.
The block is mostly commercial. Has an old shopping center, like warehouses.
And getting a variance for half the parking, how do you feel about that? Because I know you're stickler about parking as well.
You have a city park and there is a lot of on-street parking, so it's one per unit plus, let me go to my analysis.
1.2 parking spots.
One parking space for each unit will leave two access to the spaces and two open spaces between the parking lot for guests.
27.
They will improve East First Street and East 10th Avenue with 8 parking spaces. And there are on-street parking spaces available on East 9th.
El,
The block at night is completely empty because it will be the apartment building and all the rest. So the parking around and on East 9th Court will be.
okay, yeah, I'm just scared of what's going to come next to it after this one gets approved.
Right, right.
So, do you know why the applicant isn't here? You haven't spoken to her? Because I know sometimes they tell you.
Through the chair. Through the chair. I mean, I think.
Are you
the-
done, madam?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Sorry. So I saw that it's 18 one-bedrooms and 9 two-bedrooms. So obviously the one-bedrooms are 600 square feet. I mean, the one parking space will be fine. But even for the 9 two-bedroom units, they basically be getting one spot, right? Because then out of the so that's 27 units. You have 32 spaces.
One for each.
So even with those 5 remaining, those 5, 2 of them have to be disability, you said, and then the other 2 are guest parking? And then the 5th one is what?
For guest parking or they can rent
Oh,
it to
you're
the
right.
units and they can
But
provide
even the 2-bedroom units, there would be, 'cause typically a 2-bedroom unit is because you have 2 cars or 2
Right.
people. Even then, they would have to park on the street, those people.
Do you have any plans? Have you seen any plans? I mean, the rendering, okay.
We have them, we have them.
I didn't get the package, I'm sorry. I was looking for it on here.
I get what you're saying. It's a pretty building, but I get what you're saying. For now, it's good, but what if the area starts developing?
Yeah, I don't want to,
Yeah.
that this is how it is now. I don't want to set a precedence that we say yes to one and no to another. It is very nice, though.
You think we can have the applicant here at the next meeting?
You want to approve it now and see what
Approve
goes?
it or table it.
Or you could
Yeah.
you could table it. You want to table?
Yeah, so it's table.
Whatever is the pleasure of the council. We have a motion to table
Second.
from Ms. Casal Munoz. We have a second from Councilman Tundidor. Call the roll.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Thank you, Deborah.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zagbi?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is tabled until May 10th, 2022.
Thank you. PZ6, please.
First reading of proposed ordinance granting a special use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-161, to allow an adult day training and care center for young people with disabilities ancillary to an existing church and school. Property located at 5800 Palm Avenue, Hialeah, zoned R1, one family district. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Through the chair?
Yeah, PZ6 is on first reading. Madam, you're recognized.
What,
This is the church.
yeah, right
Baptist
across from my house,
Yeah, yeah,
my old house.
yeah.
5800. Okay, this is,
Yeah, that's that.
The church again.
Church. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yes.
2 years ago.
Mhm.
And they are going to build a parking lot. And in this area, what was pointed out to them, that they need to improve the street with on-street parking. And they want to do that.
What is that? Why?
They are not here today. That's what they were doing.
This is not the same request, though. They were expanding to a high school.
It's a different request because they have a program for adults with disabilities. And they are dropped off
So the school was never passed? And and are they using the school? Okay.
Totally different.
How many students?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
It's a-
sorry, go
No,
ahead.
that's
Yeah, go
exactly what I
ahead.
was going to ask. Please, go ahead.
How many students do they have in the school?
So through the chair while she looks for that.
The information on the school, I don't have it, because it's like, you look at the,
No, I know. I lived there 30 years.
so it's from Palm Avenue, and the school, all the operation of the school is on 58th Street, and this is proposed on 58th Terrace. So there's no traffic related to the school there. They have an entrance, and they use that part of the building.
So through the chair, so my memory
Yes,
serves
sir.
me right. I was on the board at that time. Pretty much, Vivian, what they're trying to do is clean up the place, make it easier for parents to drop it off, or so they won't be running around. That was the one that
No,
the,
at that time, they didn't have any parking, because when the building was approved, they were supposed to put the parking that is never built, so when they came to that they will build the parking lot with and they would include an area for
correct.
the parking lot. And because of the pandemic, they couldn't do it, but now
But they're doing a parking lot there? A parking garage or just resurfacing?
a parking lot on the big field that they have on
Right.
West 58th Street. There
Right.
They will be building a parking lot, surface parking lot.
With 100
with
cars?
100 cars.
And where are they going to put these special needs for adults?
The special needs will go in a building that is a part of the school, but it's fronting West 58th Terrace, and the teachers will park there. They will build on-street parking, and the vans that bring the participants will also park there. But the vans come and go. And the number of 60 participants and 6 staff members.
For special needs?
in the evening, right?
No,
Honestly?
daycare.
In the evening or all times? What was the time of operations from? Okay. I'm just trying to remember 2 years ago, the conversation. I think.
No,
we-
but I'm
I
asking
think-
for the special needs.
Yeah, the conversation a couple of years ago was about the school.
Okay, got
And
it.
the condition of the parking for the school.
Okay, I remember that.
This is like an additional operation.
Oh, got it.
Adult
Got it.
day training and care for young people with disability. Ancillary to the existing church and school.
I don't have a problem with it. And the same pastor, is the pastor that was doing it before the one? I remember them. Okay.
Pleasure of the council.
I mean, I have a motion. I don't have a-
Motion from
Second.
Councilwoman Garcia Robles, second from Councilman Tundidor. Call the roll, please.
Ms. Garcia Robles?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
No.
Motion carries. The item is approved. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for May 10th, 2022.
I guess,
Deborah, can-
so I guess the recommendation for him to be here next time, so he can explain the operation.
Can you, that's what I was gonna say. Can you have him come and see and give a little bit of more description of what the program for the special needs is? Because that worries me. Thank you.
Thank you. PZ7, please.
Recommendation of denial by the Planning and Zoning Board to allow the replatting of the property into 2 substandard lots. Lot 1 having a frontage of 40.01 feet and total lot area of 5,399.91 square feet, where 75 feet and 7,500 square feet are required. And Lot 2 having a frontage of 40.01 feet and total lot area 5,399.91 square feet, where 75 feet and 7,500 square feet are required. And once platted, allow the construction of a single-family house on each district for property located at 1140 West 32nd Street, Hialeah, zoned R1 One Family District.
PZ7 is a recommendation of denial, and I see Frank de la Paz here. Does
You
anybody, discussion from the council, does anybody want to ask Frank a question?
I do. I just want to see something real quick here. I'm looking at in the map. I'm sorry. Okay, so this is one lot and you want to build a duplex on one lot.
No, ma'am. Good evening. My name is Frank de la Paz, 9361 Fur Road, Miami, Florida. Back in December, we approached the building department and discussed several scenarios as to how to redevelop this lot that is improved with a very deteriorated 1948 cardboard box house. At the time, as is customary, we presented two applications to the city. One was for replatting of the property into 240 lots, and one asking for variances in order to those 40-foot lots to be buildable lots with 40-foot frontage. We went in front of the Planning and Zoning Board on March the 8th, and we got our tentative plat. It was approved with the recommendation of approval from the department. And I have to say something. I did make a mistake. I did not pay attention to what I was doing. I was, with everything that has been going on, I was kind of slow. I did not realize, even though the approval of the replat that we have going to the county had conditions. If not, I would have challenged those conditions at the beginning because it's the first time at least that I seen a replat having conditions on the plat itself, on the recommendation to the Planning and Zoning Board, but not on the ordinary self of the replat. So now we have a replat that has been a tentative approved to divide the parcel into two 40-foot wide lots. And the intent of the application was to have single-family houses built on. In tandem,
One on each lot.
one house on each lot.
Okay.
In tandem to that application, we have submitted at the same time a application for the variance, which is what is in front of you. I don't know why the wording on the ordinance that is in front of you, it says that we are replatting. We already have the process of replatting approved. We're asking for variances in order to have the buildable lots once the replatted is finished. That's the
So
way
you
it
already went through the process of splitting the property.
Yes, we already have a replatting. We went to to the Planning and Zoning, and we got our replat.
And we approved it here.
Not you.
Okay.
Planning and Zoning.
Okay.
And then it goes to the county, and once it gets approved in the county, it will come back as a replat.
Okay.
Now, the second act is the variance to have the right to build one buildable house on each one of those lots. Mind you, the recommendation surprised me when it came down for denial. Now, if the intent was not to have two single-family house, and the department all along would have said, well, Frank, we want you to have a big house on a big lot, I think that the recommendation should have been first against the replatting. Because what is the purpose of replatting a parcel of land is not to have tomatoes and tomatoes, is to have two houses. But nevertheless, okay, we are going to the replat process, which to a certain extent, I will consider that a development order. But on the second hand, we came back, which, and once, like I said, that the applications were submitted at the same time with the same radius map and everything, saying that we intended to have a single-family house on each lot.
On each lot.
On each lot, even though at the beginning we went and asked what the city does, what does the city prefer? To have a duplex on one 80-foot lot or have two single-family houses? And why do I say that? Because the property to the west, as it is on her report, is zone duplex. Now, I'll give you a little history of this neighborhood.
How large is the property on the left that you said that's zoned for duplex?
It's about 70 feet.
Okay.
The only 80-foot lot on the part, on the,
Is
on the
this one.
street between 11 and 12, and let's just go to the immediate area, is this one.
It is
At
a
the beginning,
duplex.
back in 1925, this whole area, the West Hialeah Heights subdivision, was 40-foot lots. Then came the hurricane of 26, the market crashed, and then in 28 it was replatted again into tracts because of the benefits that they needed back then. To have
Yeah, there's a
large
lot of
tracts.
40-foot lots in Hialeah.
And then on the north side of 32nd Street, when the market started changing again right after the war, the whole north side of this street was subdivided into 60-foot lots. And the southern was mostly developed anywhere between 60 and 70. It's not a traditional 75 by 100
Right.
subdivision. And if you go around the neighborhood, and even as the planner had said on her report, the lots are different size all over. So what is the reasoning behind wanting to have two single-family houses? Well, the property needs to be redeveloped. And it needs to be redeveloped with something that will make sense on the neighborhood. And to us, it would make more sense to have two single-family houses on 40-foot lot that it would be to continue to have a Sears cardboard box in the middle of it.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
I'm curious because if he's saying that there was already a replat, I want to hear from Deborah because I know that I guess there was conditions on it, and I need to understand what that process looked
Yeah,
like.
let me say, there, when the replatting comes to the planning and zoning department.
When was
it
this?
goes- When was this?
Yeah, when did it come to the planning? Last month? Was it in March this year? Okay, all right.
When it comes to the zoning department, it gets submitted to all the departments that review, the fire department, the water and sewer department, the streets department, and many times, most of the times, they have conditions. So, and when it came to me, it was already in the agenda. And when I looked at it, I said, but this needs a variance. So my condition was that the tentative plat approval was subject to the approval of the variance to replat the property into two. So that's the story of the tentative plat. The other story, those properties are zoned R2. I couldn't find the ordinance rezoning those properties to R2. There is an old ordinance 1000 something from 1957 that allow the construction of homes there. And those three properties that are zoned R2 are developed with single-family homes built between 1958 and 1960. So there are no duplexes there. I remember Mr. De La Paz approaching me with Mr. Osman a while ago, and they came and they told me, look, these properties are duplex. Now we have these two. We want to split and build one duplex on each. And I said, no.
One duplex
One
on each.
duplex on each.
Okay, so that's
And-
4 homes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And I said, no, duplex here, no, because you have the R2, but those properties are no duplex.
Okay.
That is when you do a review that they come to your office and you look at everything like in 10 minutes. When I get the reports, I go and do a thorough analysis. So the way that I do when someone comes and asks for this type of variances, I review the whole block on both sides of the street and look at the dimension of the lot. And most of the times, if you remember in my report, it says 70% of the lots are this size, 30% this size. There is already a presence of small lots. This was not the case. So my dilemma was, okay, we many times we approve 40-feet lots, but don't we want also to preserve large lots? Because there are families that would like to come to the city and to develop and have large lots and have the yards and have the swimming pools. And this lot, particular lot is an opportunity for that. So that is the point of mine.
So, but Deborah, and maybe I'm just not getting it, maybe it's
Yes.
real late already, so, but you recommended approval of the replat with conditions.
Yes, and this was one meeting before. It's not that this happened 4 months ago and he already submitted to the county. This happened at one meeting, and then the following planning and zoning meeting, he came with the variance because my recommendation was this is approved subject to the approval of the variance. What I should have done is to say we should table this and wait for the variance to be approved. But since the county process is very slow, I say, okay, let's go ahead. And the condition for this approval is that the variance gets approved. And that is what you're considering now. The variance to subdivide the property into 2 substandard lots.
But if you agree on that, I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
But-
go ahead.
But if you agree on that, why is it denied?
Well, I agree with the condition that he comes to the variance, because the variance will give me the opportunity to look at everything thoroughly and see if it's recommended for that setting to have the subdivision.
So you agree that it could be split and have one house on each, not a duplex on each, correct?
When someone comes to plat, you don't agree to duplex or single family. You agree to a subdivision. You
Say
don't
that again?
agree- When someone comes to replat the property, you don't agree to the development. You agree to the subdivision, that it's a big lot that they're going to partition it into 2. That's the process,
So do you agree with that or not?
with the condition that they get the variance approved.
The variance for the
The
prop,
variance to split the lot. into
and that would be in the next meeting after the replat comes back?
No. the
Oh, this
replat
is
will come
today.
back- The replat will come back in 6 months, because when they get the.
Yeah, but you're saying this is today, but she's saying to deny it.
Yes, the recommendation
On the- on-
preceded the acceptance of the replat, because the fact of the matter is that you can't plat unless you comply with the zoning ordinance that says you must plat with a minimum lot of 75 by 100. So there's no, the plat should have been submitted with either 75 by 100 division of a lot, right? Or after a variance for a substandard lot, so that you have the authority to proceed with the plat and the approval.
Yes.
The application for the replat and the application for the variance were presented at the same time. I don't set the agenda. I don't set the time frame in the department of how things should move forward. I presented both applications at the same time, as I was told to do. It came, and it's a matter of the public record. We got the tentative plat approved. I got an email on it, item approved. And I was told that subsequently we will come into the variances, which I recognize that are needed. Just like Lorena said, maybe there should have been more clarification. But then again, I have never seen a T-plat put conditions on it on this matter. And like I said, I wasn't paying attention. It's the first time I ever seen it. And it caught me by surprise. If not, I would have raised the voice on it, just like I realized something on the item that is in front of you today. That in order, just like you might remember in some other items, if you so feel on the majority comfortable with bringing back an ordinance to override the planning and zoning board, I will ask you not to do it tonight. I will ask you to send it back to planning and zoning. Why? Because a crucial element is missing, and it's missing on my part on my application. When you look at my application, I said, zoning and variance desire, 40-foot standard lots. But I forgot to put in something, which is a temporary waiver of plat. Why? We all know the platting process takes time. And every application that you have come before you with a replat has included a temporary waiver of plat to allow the process of the building permit process and concurrency and site plan approved and everything else that is needed to continue to move forward while the platting is going on. And by the time you finish all the due diligence and all the pre-construction needs, your plat has been approved within those 18 months. And you can start building, unless you want to build at your own risk, waiting for the replat. So that was also on me. And like I said, that is.
So if I may, through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Just to kind of, you know, maybe wrap this up. So number one, I don't like to vote on something that I don't have a full understanding of. That's number one. Number two, I'd like to either table this so I can have more time. And I think everyone's kind of like trying to figure out what's going on. A lot's being said here. But I will say this, and I know that in the past we have done things like this, you know, but I guess it goes back to, you know, what type of city, you know, do we want to be, right? And I look at this lot, and my house is, you know, my property is about 10,000 square feet as well, and if I divide that into two, I mean, I don't think I have enough space now. So if I divide that into two, I don't know where I would go, right? So I think something that resonated with me that Deborah said was about preserving the land that we do have. And, you know, I had a buddy of mine that him and another guy bought, I think it was 5 acres up north in Broward, and then they're going to divide it because they want more land, right? And so that also resonated with me. I wanted to share that, but however, I don't feel comfortable making any type of decision today if I can't fully understand this. I like to have some time and sit down and
Agreed.
and kind of figure out exactly what's going on, what happened, because obviously there was a disconnect, right? If you're saying that there was an approval but then you know they're saying something else, so I want to get down to the bottom of that. I don't feel comfortable doing that now. It's already 10:30. So I
tend to agree with you, and I would like following from the law department. Since we already had this public hearing, will Jennings still apply in case that I want to meet with any of them and answer any question, ma'am? You see, that's the problem. We cannot have a person-to-person communication as to explain to you what has transpired.
No, I wasn't. I was talking about with
you're
staff.
not,
Yeah.
From my point of view, you will not be able to get it. It has to be here on a public forum.
Okay. Just not
So-
tonight, and that's fine. I need to do some homework on my end. That's shame on me. I'll do some homework on my end. We'll come back, and then I think we could pick this up next
Just to
time.
close it, this neighborhood, the last new house that was built there on that neighborhood was built in a standard less than 70-foot wide lot back in 77. The area needs rejuvenation. Most of the houses were built in the early 60s. As it is on her report, the lots to the north in front of me, they're all 60 feet. Then on our side, most of them are between 60, 70. If you go south to 31st Street, you got 40, you got duplex, you got everything. It's not like the economics of having a 80-foot house there just don't happen. It's not going to happen, and the property needs to be redeveloped. If you go by it, you're going to see a little cardboard Sears box in there. Nevertheless, I'm not wasn't trying to confuse anybody with what I say. On any event, if you all decide that you want to give me the benefit to bring back an ordinance overriding the planning and zoning board, I prefer to do the clean and go back to planning and zoning and get the temporary waiver of plat. If you all choose to do that.
Yeah.
If not, I don't mind. Just continue with my process and try to speed up the county as much as I can.
Yeah,
on
Frank,
my
let's
replat.
let's
You know,
go ahead and let's.
just, if you do, it's up to you.
I move to table this.
Second.
We have a motion to table from Councilman Tindler, a second from Councilwoman Vivian Casals Munoz. Please call the roll.
Table until the next meeting, sir?
To May 10th? Okay.
May 10th is good, Deborah, right? Frank?
We'll cruise the neighborhood in the meantime and look at the, because I think Deborah's, your big opposition to this is there's no other 40-foot lots in the immediate area. That's your concern, right? This would be the smallest, and I know what you're saying, Frank. This would be the small. Okay, that's basically the nuts and bolts of it. So call the roll, please, on the table. Thank
Mr.
you.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is tabled until May
Se te cae
10th,
5 minutos.
2022.
Thank you, Frank. PZ8, please.
We have a.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit to allow a K through 2 grade school with a maximum enrollment of 20 students pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances, Section 98-181, property located at 4975 West 6th Avenue, Hialeah, zoned C2, Liberal Retail Commercial District, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. PZ8 is on second reading, open for public discussion. Having none, pleasure of the council. Motion from Councilman Rodriguez,
Second.
second from Councilwoman Garcia Robes. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you. 15, land use, LU1, please. Good night, Caesar.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending the future land use map from low-density residential to commercial property located at 4526 and 4546 Palm Avenue, Hialeah, Zone C1, Restricted Retail Commercial District, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
LU1 is on second reading, open for public discussion. Having none,
Motion to
pleasure
approve.
of the council. We have a motion from Councilwoman Casals Munoz,
Second.
second from Councilwoman Garcia Robes. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez? Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank. LU2.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending the future land use map from low-density residential to transit-oriented development district, property located at 991 East 26th Street, Hialeah, zoned R1, one-family district, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
LU2 is on second reading, open for public discussion. Having none that I can see, pleasure of the council.
Motion.
We have a motion from Councilman Tundidor. I believe a second from Councilwoman Garcia Robes. Please call the roll.
Mr. Zogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Casal Munoz?
No.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now, good night.
Thank you.
Good
Good night,
night.
Caesar. Do I have a unanimous motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion. Meeting is adjourned, 10:39 PM. Oh,